Hey
What
guys.
is up, misfits, and welcome to tonight's episode of Midnight Ranting. What explains reality, atheism, or Christianity? Where we are going to have a theological versus secular good time. Won't you join James W. and
Come on.
myself, Amy Newman?
You know you want to.
Oh my. Thank you all for
Thanks,
joining us
Sue.
out there on the intertubes. I cannot believe they get all of it through that neatly. And if you have your booster or vaccine shot, now is the time to activate your 5G chip in a boop, boop. Oh, I love it when it links up nice and neatly. But yes,
Now you're part of the Internet of Things,
I am
remember.
part of the Internet of Things, and thank you, the New World Order and the Space Lizards, for giving
Definitely.
us our vaccine.
Hi,
But
Mom and
yes,
Dad.
if you're feeling fancy, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, because then you'll get access to that bell icon to be set to all, so you can get reminders to see our premieres, like last night's interview with Sandy Lincoln, Ken Hovind's ex-wife. Woo-hoo! And
One
she
of
escaped.
his committee of ex-wives.
Committee, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like the committee of Kangs. Sometimes you just gotta expand yourself. As many Marvel references as I can fit in. It's like fist fruits, James. Like fist fruits.
Yes. She went for the
And
watermelon this time.
always gotta go for the gold. And join our live streams like everyone out there on the interwebs right now. Mwahahaha. Now, of course, we are a skeptic channel, including the two schmucks that you see before you. However, after our opening statements, we will be opening up the open mic. The floodgates will be yours, as you can come to tell us your thoughts about the topic, the debate, or tacos.
Pat will be in to talk about that, I'm sure.
And of course, it doesn't matter if you're atheist or theist, liberal or conservative. Come as you are. Just please, not on my sheets. Anywhere but the sheets. You got two
Straight or
targets on
super
the
straight.
back. Exactly. Ooh, we
You
got
can either be straight or super straight. One of the two.
Captain Gizmo over there.
Oh, yeah.
And all right, this, I think, a little housekeeping. I need to get Sam Harris down.
Gizmo has come out as super straight now, too.
That look, sometimes you need to go beyond where you come back around, and then I think you do a loop-de-loo, and then I'm pretty sure you suck it. Anyway, we want to send love to our Patreons that can be found at patreon.com/Amy Newman, including awesome Patreons like Triggering the Three Abrahamic Religions, K.O. Champ, and also sending love to Tang Yo Oz
Hey, Roger.
from the Atheist Roundtable.
Oz!
And also, are you looking for better conversations? Are you looking for a better non-believer community? Well, you better get your butt to Tart.live, where you can find tickets of the event.
I just want better Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Sometimes we just want the little things in life. I just try to connect with my New World Order chip, but it doesn't always work. You know, you'd think that with them taking over the 5G, you would have signals everywhere, but they're going to have to sell us on 6G or 7G. I think they inject it right into your brain.
Well, I mean, look, they're waiting to take over any moment now. It's just
true.
These things keep any day now they're going to take over. They just keep getting delayed a little bit, but don't worry about it.
Jesus coming down any day now, any day. But we are also sending love to Ian Davenport. Boom, 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 as we level up in the non-believer community. And my closest reference right now is Free Guy, but there are many video game movies out there, and some of them are even good.
A few of them, yeah.
A few of them. The kitty wants in, the kitty wants out.
Kitty wants in, it wants out.
I know. And we are sending love to when we hear, well, creationist claims more specifically. They make us and a grumpy old cuss go bleep, 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 bleep.
Yeah. Ken Hovind claims, though, they have that effect.
Yes, and you have to take Ken Hovind's word on it. He is a known scientist with an expert in the field of gravity. He has practiced, I believe, on all his wives, and it turns out...
Most especially his third, yeah.
Exactly, and it turns out if you run the experiment long enough, you go to jail. What are these four walls? These four walls of loveliness. Okay.
So he can tell the walls about the conservation of angular momentum, just disproving the Big Bang. There you go, Kent. Knock yourself out.
Literally. But yes, sending love to a grumpy old cuss, and sending love to Diana Smith, who once again reminds us that, I don't know, that the non-believer community treats their other gender like humans. Oh, it feels good to admit it.
Yunnan beef, like from the Chinese food menu?
Yes. But we are sending love to Diana Smith.
Thank you, Diana Smith.
I'm sure that all of the Abrahamic religions treat women fantastically. You can go to any of the countries that are owned by theocratic governments and just be fantastic. Just go to town.
They love women. They think everybody should own one.
Exactly.
Or a dozen. Yeah.
And we are also sending love to the resident archaeologist of the house, the one, the only, Pat.
Pat might be a little tipsy tonight, so we'll see what Pat's got in store for us. Yeah.
Well, don't let him around Stonehenge and may get tipped over.
He might have had one too many eggnogs.
Well, but you can check out many of our awesome episodes. I talk about sacredness. I was going to say talk sacredness to me. Many episodes of Talk Skeptic to me where he talks about how sacredness develops, which is mostly just kick out the guy before you and give a new coat of paint. I know it says we shouldn't chop down a tree and put ornaments on it, but hear me out here. What if we did that? Nonetheless,
well, we got a badass over there, guys. We got us a badass. It says not to do it. She's gonna do it. Go figure, huh?
Look, it's like the 4D chess, just like with God. You only have to do some of the Old Testament. You know, some of it is fulfilled, and some of it isn't. And which is which? Well, James, that's up for our hearts to decide.
Absolutely. Faith. You need faith above all.
We need the Old Testaments, like a big old monument on our courthouses. But, the 600 commandments, well, I mean, come on now. That's a little bit. Who has time for 600? Oh, the Jews do. Oh.
Oh, not mixing different kinds of
Well,
fabric in their garment? Nobody ain't got time for that.
exactly. Picky. And look, generally speaking, I'm fairly sure we should be throwing rocks at Red Lobster, but picky.
And if your deity gets triggered by a cheeseburger, I'm going to suggest getting a new deity.
Yeah, well, that is the funny thing, is that the deity seems to get taken down by very weird things, like a cheeseburger and bacon. And so
Iron chariots.
if you could get taken down by anything on the Wendy's menu, I feel like you're just not that powerful of a god. Maybe I understand if you get taken down the next day, but just take a Pepto-Bismol. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Which is because Dale Pastel and all of the skeptics send our reminders that really we're just looking for a little bit of evidence. A little bit of empirical evidence.
Come on.
Doesn't have to be a
We
lot.
know you can do it. We know you can do it, God. We know you can do
They always
it.
ask us what we want. They're always like, come on, you atheists. You can have anything that you want. All right. Physical evidence? Whoa, oh, come on. Of course, you're going to ask for, but it's outside of time and space. It's outside of the universe. Can't you understand? It's paranormal. It's supernatural. It's,
Metaphysical.
just drain the snake oil a little bit more. Hold on. It really, once you really get a crank in, you really get a good cup. No buyers. No. Oh,
You drank the Kool-Aid, Amy.
Sometimes you gotta
Drink the Kool-Aid. Yes.
Once again, we just tossed that around. But what a lovely example of religion, isn't it? They're extreme examples when you drink a little bit too much of that, and then you end up passed out trying to catch yourself on I think they were trying to catch aliens/angels that were crossing by. Religion stuff.
Oh, like Heaven's Gate cult, the spaceship flying behind the comet, and if we all kill ourselves, we'll all magically be transported to the spaceship because I guess magic, maybe.
Exactly. And it's the type of thing you only get from religion. Like, you're not getting scientists coming out from the lab and saying that. Like, just drink this. We need to get on the flying alien species that will come up and take us off to heaven. I think I'm just going to go to Ocean City. But thanks.
Another dose of Kool-Aid for her, folks. She just hasn't drank enough of the Kool-Aid yet. Another glass will do her just fine.
Goes down smooth. And we're also sending love, of course, to the lovely and ever-round Dave Gar, reminding us that, I can't help it. It just looks a little thick. That globe, it just looks a little round.
I mean, we can have body positivity for the globe. It's not doesn't need to be shamed.
I'm not hating. That just means more globe for all of us to love. Okay, I'm not hating.
But the pancake model, it really does offer some distinct features that we just don't get from the globe. So I think living on a flying pancake would just be cool. I don't know.
It would be. Look, we live in the dome. They never even draw the dome. Like, they never give any model. You would think they could just make up a bullshit model. They don't even attempt. God damn it, Flurfs.
Yeah. Ask them what it's made of and how high up it is. No, in fact, actually, don't do that. They'll never answer any question because
Then again, no.
they need to stay as vague as possible because anything that they answer can be disproven will be. So, yeah, they try to stay as vague as possible.
Give specifics, then they're testable. When you're
that won't work.
Land, you don't have to give anything. You just gotta talk in parables. What I mean on the inside of my heart, what they really meant. Oh, good. Tell us what they really meant from thousands of years ago. But yes.
Yes, X Music. There were a few people in Heaven's Gate that did castrate themselves, that including Marshall Applewhite and a few of the other men in the cult did go to Mexico to have their huevos chopped off
James,
for God.
It makes sense if you want to get closer to God. It all makes sense. Remember, we just got to use our big brains here.
Thanks, Robert.
Woo-hoo.
Foreskin wrapped shrimp, yes.
To Robert, sending love to all of you in chat. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We are about to go into our opening statements and then open mic, and we are also sending love to the lead hyena of the pack, Scott Regos, because it doesn't matter if we eat them, and one day we probably won't. That'll probably be taken out by, I think, market forces. Nonetheless, in the meantime, we should be treating other animals with decency. We were not given them by a creator. They just evolved right alongside us. They're not trying to become us. Snake is not trying to evolve legs so that it becomes more like.
Well, no, you see, it had legs and then God took it away, so God made it devolve. Yeah.
James, it always goes back to Applegate. You know.
Well,
sad times. Got very political back then too.
It must have been really nice for those vegetarian snakes before the fall, walking around with legs, eating fruits and vegetables as everything did.
And it sucks because, one snake just took it down for everybody. So, all the snakes out there now got to suffer because of Billy. God damn it, Billy. The snake.
How could you let yourself be possessed by the devil? I mean, it wasn't your fault, right? But it sucks. Now we all have to have no legs.
Oh, James, it's hard not to get possessed by the devil. With eyes like that, he's just so charming. Nonetheless, we send love to Regis.
Oh, thanks, Pat. No, we're getting a little concerned about it, but just keep sipping.
Keep on sipping.
The Bible makes more and more sense the more you drink.
That's right. Well, sometimes you gotta have a little bit of that wine, and you gotta keep on drinking the wine until once again our brain buddy just starts to shut down a little bit. Once he starts to shut down, here you go, starts to make all sense.
Then maybe you'll have an experience with God.
I know. Woo-hoo! I like a good Long Island iced tea, I will say. It's a good value. I'm trying to remember, what was the joke? Same joke every time. I used to think that Long Island iced tea was vodka mixed with, or alcohol mixed with iced tea. I now learned that it is alcohol mixed with alcohol. Woo!
Right.
Good times. And sending love to last, but certainly not least, Rachel Holland.
Rachel.
Woo! Because of course the Bible Christian, Jewish, of any text. I saw someone very specifically, I forget which video today was going on about the King James Version. It has to be the King James Version. They would never condone slavery. And so that's what I like about
we do, agnostic theists, we do.
Oh, that's right. I will say we do not judge. It doesn't matter what your religious views are. You probably don't have good evidence for it.
Amy takes blood transfusions she doesn't even need just to trigger the Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's right. I just do it every week to trigger them. But yes, we are sending love to our Patreons.
She's got that thing on her wrist that says, if I'm injured, give me as much blood as it will take to keep me alive.
Exactly. It also says organ donor, but only to juggle organs after death. So people get a good little
a show?
Yeah, exactly. A little entertainment. I know it's obscure, but we got to have our...
She is down with the shake weights.
Down with the shake weights. Look, I just like to make sure that I'm healthy. We only know that we have one life, and I just like to think that by keeping up that and the plates that I'm also keeping up, that I can stay healthy.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! But yes, our Patreons at patreon.com/Amy Newman, sending love to them as well as
Gizmo cat food.
The people in chat, and of course, viewers like you who make this channel even possible. And before we break into...
Thanks, Robert.
Woo-hoo. That's right, baby. Where we only trade love here. Only trade love. No tithing.
No sacrificing.
I won't bite you unless you're into that. Nonetheless.
She won't kick you in the balls unless you pay for that.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
And before we go into the open conversation in the open mic, what explains reality? Atheism or Christianity? Well, I don't believe there is good evidence for Christianity. However, atheism is not a worldview. So, what exactly does explain reality? For that, we're going to need something else. Like a naturalistic view of the universe. The physical world is what we experience as sentient creatures with certain discoveries like quantum mechanics, Newtonian physics, and general or special relativity explaining different scales. We can look back as far as we can go with the Big Bang, an expansion event which allowed for space-time. We come from second or third generation stars, the first of which spewed their guts across galaxies so that we could sit here on a desktop, laptop, or cell phone. Or maybe not. There could be a multiverse or other explanations, because we're always working on finding new answers, especially when new information comes in. However, what we do know is that currently Christianity does not look true. Or rather, the worldview does not accurately explain reality. We never had evidence for the way the Torah or the Old Testament laid the universe out. There is no good evidence literal Adam or Eve lived or shared space together. The same goes for Abraham, Moses, and Noah existing. And without original sin, there is no reason for Christianity to exist. It's before we get into the logistics of sacrificing animals, human or otherwise, to a god. Though the same is true for almost all of the religions out there, which is why I am currently stuck as an atheist. Though that has little to do with my outlook of the world. So when someone says, what explains reality, atheism or Christianity, instead, we can follow some simple definitions. Reality encompasses what is real, dealing with the nature of existence, which we then contrast with what is not real or the imaginary. This also helps shape my definition of truth, since I believe truth corresponds to reality. That when someone tells me the rock fits in my hand would still exist, even if my hand or us all together ceased to be. Thank you. And all right, with that, I'm going to hand it over to James. We are putting theology versus secular views
we
in
are.
the fire pit tonight. Hope you're doing well. And what are your thoughts?
Right. So what better describes reality, Christianity or atheism? Well, let's start off. What is atheism? Well, atheists are people who don't believe in a God. We've heard the claims of people who do believe in God, and we're not convinced by them. We don't think any of them are sufficient to warrant belief. We don't see enough evidence. What is Christianity? Well, Christianity is the belief in the deity of the ancient Hebrew Israelites. They're going to point to a book, their Bible, that makes a series of untestable, unfalsifiable claims about the existence of this deity and what he wants us to do and what he wants us to believe, and a demand that we believe these things on faith without evidence. We have to believe them because we have no choice, or he will do really mean things to us after we're dead. Now, fortunately, though, this book does make other claims that are testable and that are falsifiable. And wouldn't you know, often enough, we find out that these claims, when they can be falsified, they are often falsified. So what are we left with? We're left with a demand that we believe a book that makes untestable claims. You can't test it, you can't falsify it, you just have to believe it. But the same book does make claims that are falsified regularly, and we're hand wave those issues away with apologetics and with other forms of excuses or different nuanced metaphorical interpretations to try to make it seem like it's always been right, even though it's quite clearly wrong. So what do we look out when we see, like, when we find ourselves on this planet? Well, originally we didn't know very much at all about the outside natural world. We had very little knowledge. We just basically didn't know our ass from a hole in the ground. And you're going to see that over the past few thousand years, we have really gotten our act together. We've actually learned a lot about the natural world. We've developed a system for inquiring about the natural world and asking questions and finding knowledge, real knowledge that we can test and demonstrate, empirical knowledge. And we've moved past our time where we needed to use superstition and theology to answer the fundamental questions of life. Now, that's not to say that we've answered every single question that could ever be posed. We haven't. But we've answered a lot of them. And every single time we've gotten an answer, never has it had anything to do with the supernatural. When we look out around us, we see stars, we see matter, we see energy, we see everything obeying the laws of physics. In fact, that's all we've ever seen. We have never seen anything else happen. We have never, not even one time, saw something else happen that does not comport with the laws of physics. It's never happened. Oh, except we're told that actually thousands of years ago it happened all the time. It was a daily occurrence. God came down and he was doing stuff and he was changing reality. He was turning the laws of physics upside down to suit his need. He was coming down, kicking ass, taking names, parting the Red Sea for his people, beaming knowledge into prophets' heads. He was doing all kinds of crazy stuff that doesn't comport with our physical reality, but yet we're told he did it. But he doesn't do it anymore. He stopped all that 3,000 years ago. He just decided, okay, I'm just going to stop that. I'm going to withdraw. Now they're on their own. How much sense does that make? It doesn't make a damn bit of sense. And any theological rationale, any type of apologetics that you're going to put together is going to really fail unless you are desperate, damn near desperate to believe this for whatever reason. If you're damn near desperate to believe it, you will come up with and you will be able to justify just about anything. But if you're honest with yourself and if you really want to know what's really happening, there's really no reason to believe in this. And if you don't care, then if you just want to believe it because you like it and it helps you and it's good for your life, or you think it's good for you, then fine, believe it. No one's going to stop you. But if that's the case, what are you doing here? Like, I know people in my personal life who do believe and they want to believe and they don't want to challenge their beliefs. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want to. And you have to respect that. Hey, if you don't want to talk about it, if you don't want to believe it, that's fine. Keep believing it if it's good for you. But if you want to come around to us, you want to come to the atheist community, the skeptic community, and ask us what we think, we're going to tell you. And you might not like the answers that you hear because it might not make you feel good. It might not make you feel very hopeful about reality. It might not make you feel good at the fact that there's probably no afterlife. But it is reality. And that's all we have to offer. That's what we peddle, is basically reality. We're not here peddling fantasy about getting to live, die, go to heaven, be with your family, all your loved ones, live forever and be happy. And that's a powerful fantasy. But if you want reality, there's no reason to believe in that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, James. And all right, couldn't agree more. And with that, we are going to move into our open mic on the Midnight Ranting.
Let's do it.
I am sending it into stream.
You muted, Amy? Oh, no, there you are.
I was just clickety-clacking.
Clickety-clacking.
Clickety-clacking. So we got the StreamYard link up on there. Come and tell us what explains reality better, atheism or Christianity. We are open to other views. If you are a Jehovah's Witness, a Muslim, a Hindu, a deist, doesn't matter what you are, but we are talking atheism and Christianity on Outlooks tonight. Come on by.
Come on in. They already did, Amy. They already did.
It's true.
Come on, Matt Dillahunty. That would be great to have Matt Dillahunty come on in.
On in. And we are sending love to everybody out there. I do see Shane and Robert, Agnostic Theist, and Pat, and Stephanie, and X Music, Bubblegum, everybody out there.
Shane.
We are sending material.
Did you get to watch much of the debate, Amy? How much did you get to watch?
I was watching it back and forth. I thought it was a pretty good debate. I really wanted to ask Stuart some questions myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were discussing because I remember I have a very boring reason for why I left religion. Some people of the podcast may be familiar with it, but if you're not, I got my bar bat mitzvah, and I knew kind of around that time. I don't know if I was an atheist. I just was like, this whole religion thing is not for me, and I was like,
right,
I'll do the party thing, and you can let me stop doing religious things. And my mom was like, sounds good. Okay. The deal was made, and which I is such a Jewish way of getting out of religion. None the way. It was a great deal with my mother.
Respect your culture, your heritage. You're doing all that, but
she just wanted to happy cry. Oh, my baby's becoming an adult at
my
12,
little mensch.
13. Yeah, as if that really is the age for adulthood. It's like, oh boy, I could almost drive.
Where people live to be only 30 to 35 is your average life expectancy. 13 years old is not. Yeah. And if you think about it, that's kind of what religion gave us, life expectancies of 35. That's all and I'm not saying we hadn't refined any of the other tools that we have today to inquire about the natural world. We were just taking a shot in the dark at it. We were taking a stab at it with religion.
Absolutely.
And we were trying to answer questions, and we came up with things that we thought made sense at the time.
It was our first attempt at trying to do many of the subjects that eventually became topics like chemistry and physics and biology. That's not what it started with, I know that they will say, but really what it transitioned, if I could shove that word in as much as I can, is alchemy eventually gave birth to chemistry. And so you can see the roots in where the two are connected, but nonetheless, alternative medicine is not medicine. So we need to draw the distinctions there. Whoa!
Hey, Oz.
Sup, Oz? Tang, yo.
Tang, gang. And that's the thing. Hey, Black female atheists. We've really so advanced as a society and as a species, really so much after we were able to question religion, and Christianity in particular had a stranglehold over science and what reality was, to the point where they would execute you if you disagreed with what the church said about the natural world. And it was really only after we got past that and were able to ask questions and have that free, open exchange of ideas that we actually started to move significantly forward.
Exactly. We got, I'll give the almost both sides is that, Dark Ages came from a time when religious persecution and the spread of religion was rampant by both the book and sword. Of course, you have the Muslims that come up behind and they're like, well, we had the golden age where we retained some of the information that got passed down from maybe the Romans and was kind of destroyed by the Christians. Then the Christians come back and they're like, well, the golden age ended and then the Christians came back around, and in the Renaissance, they were starting to do. It's like, yes, everyone had their time, even the religions, when you were kind of more secular, which is the funniest part about all of their trophies that they hold up. They're like, remember that one time when we were a plural society and weren't killing everyone and science was doing great? I'm like, yes. Could you do that again and forever?
And you know what I heard tonight, and I heard this in your debate with Gavin, and I've heard this a few times now, and it's really annoying to me, is when they say there are abstract things. There are things like love, which is not part of the physical universe. There are these things, thoughts, emotions, feelings that are not physical. Therefore, God's not physical, so there must be a God because we can have things that aren't physical, and God is not physical, so therefore it makes sense, right? And I think it's just a very dishonest tactic.
I agree. And it is also discluding the fact that there are two things in the universe. There are matter and energy, and that a lot of our thoughts get traveled as energy down our neurons, and that we are chemical meat machines. And so we are stewing in a bunch of chemicals that can create effects of love. I think all of those have naturalistic explanations. I think the natural explanations are better and make more sense than any of the religious axioms or premises that we have been given.
And there are like, they like to talk about things like emotion, like where does love come from? And they do this where they're like, oh, like the love you have for your kids or for your spouse. You want to tell me that's just oxytocin in the brain? That's completely reducible to chemicals fizzing in the brain? Well, yeah. Actually, I'm going to tell you that, that's what it is. If you don't like that, if you want to think that it's more than that, okay, but we don't have any evidence for that. And just to claim that, well, that means there must be some non-physical part of you that feels and loves where all these thoughts and emotions are taking place doesn't comport with reality, because everything that we know about science, about the brain, and about people is that when your brain gets damaged, that can have profound impact on the person's personality, like the things that they like, the things that make up the very core of who they are. You're talking about taking people who are middle-aged, who have lived their entire life, and then they all of a sudden are afflicted with terrible thoughts that they don't want, don't know where they're coming from, they don't like it, and then the doctors do an MRI and find a brain tumor in there that is throwing off the chemical balance in their brain and making them have these terrible thoughts that they hate, that make them sick, yet they can't stop having them. And when the doctors go in and remove the tumor, it gets better. You return back to normal. There's just no evidence for this other person lurking behind the scenes in some other dimension running the meat machine. The meat machine is all that there is.
That's why I very much dislike concepts like ghosts, because it's a free lunch for me. I don't get how they're standing around, what they're doing without a body.
You have to give a mechanism for it.
But we're about to go into open mic because we got our first person. We got Vegetarian Eagle, our very bird who has become a vegetarian again ever since Noah's Ark. That's how that definitely works. I will say I was reading an interesting notation.
He's that Ken Hovind acolyte, right? He's
yes, he has become
he's down at Dinosaur Adventureland.
He's trying to do exactly, also try and sell anti-evolution propaganda. And one day he too can possibly do gravity experiments on not his.
Buy Big Screen Birds DVDs. Buy them.
Buy his DVDs. And I will say, I'm sending love to all of the theists out there in chat. We give priority to all of you when you do come on here live. Don't feel any pressure to come on, though we do love you and appreciate your opinion.
As Amy sometimes says, you might feel a little pressure back there, but don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
Amy's got it all under control.
Exactly. It's a feature, not a bug. The last thing I wanted to say before, and it's just an interesting notation off what you were saying, and we'll get Bird in here just talking about consciousness as we do. But I was about to finish up Sam Harris's wife's book on consciousness, and Anita starts with an A. And she was just talking about how when you split the brain, it's common to think of split brain patients, and we think of how that kind of creates two different separate people. And she was also bringing up the thought experiment. What would happen if you connected two brains together and they kind of formed this? There was the Amy consciousness, the James consciousness. Now there's the Amy James consciousness. Would you form one being? Exactly. Or just even on a smaller level, just two. Would a Borg of two consciousnesses meld, and would you be able to call them separate entities? It becomes difficult once we start meshing into what it means to be us and our existence. Though I don't think Christianity. Oh no, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say I've thought about that too. I've seen sci-fi movies where where people are like cloning themselves to live forever. But I mean,
Rick and Morty.
You can make a clone of yourself but is that really you? You're still going to die. You're just making something that's the exact genetic copy of you, but is that really you, or is that a twin? Because you're still going to die and he's still going to live, even if he has all your memories or whatnot. I don't know.
No, I agree. I don't think the clone is. The clone is a completely different person. It just has your genes now experiencing different environmental pressures in a different time period in society. But
even if it had your memories, it still wouldn't be you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it just makes it more complicated, because if it has your memories, then it just makes things harder, because then they really do feel like you are you. And then it's almost like you have a split. And it just
they'll feel that way. Yeah.
Weird. Exactly. And I will say, send in love. I see House of Comments out there. Feel free. Join the link. We are looking for views that disagree with our own. Though
faith is falling apart like a house of cards.
We are moving into the open mic. My testament, because I do not believe that atheism is a worldview. I do not think that it's an outlook on reality. I am a philosophical, methodological naturalist.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Basically, conceding, I believe, in the natural physical world. I think that is a common viewpoint in the non-believer community. And that is really what we're talking to in opposition to Christianity, which I specifically don't think
faith is bullshit us.
Represents reality. Don't think it's true.
And the thing we get from them, what we hear from them so often is like you're just assuming that there's natural explanations for things that you don't know. So whereas we're assuming a supernatural explanation, you're engaging in the same type of thoughts because you're assuming a natural explanation. And of course, the key to that is that we know that the natural world exists. So it's not a great leap for us to assume that there is a naturalistic based explanation for something, even if we don't quite understand what it is yet. It's not a big stretch for us to say that we think when an explanation is found, it will be naturalistic, because that's, again, all we've ever found. We've never found anything else. If you're going to say, okay, that's in the past, but I think when we get to origin of life, that will be the one place where you have to have the magic. There's no other way to do it, even though people have said that in the past for things like, no, you're never going to explain it naturally. You have to have a god. You have to have magic. And it turned out we don't. We didn't have to have a god. We didn't need magic. All we needed was the natural world. And my money is on that continuing to play out.
And all right, I see a question kind of in chat. We'll answer that with Bird in here, because we are moving into the open mic portion of Midnight Ranting on what explains reality, atheism or Christianity. Oh my, Gizmo is telling us we are going into our open mic. What is up, the very patriotic vegetarian eagle? I hope you are doing well as we midnight rant what explains reality, atheism or Christianity. How are you doing tonight? And of course, what are your thoughts?
Yo. What's up? Haven't been on here in a while. It's always fun.
Seen you in the side chat and on the Discord, but hope you've been okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. I've never really thought this topic through, but it just seems that I don't know if either one of them explain reality. And I don't know. It's just kind of my initial thoughts.
It's a malformed question, I think.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, I'm with Amy. I believe what's an atheist is a singular question and has a singular answer. It's not a worldview at all.
It's a response to claims made by theists that we're not convinced by. We don't think they hold up.
Right.
And that's really all that it is.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't really know anything else to add into that, but yeah, it's great to be here and great to see y'all.
Good to have you on, Bird.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Bird. Glad to have you here. And yeah, it makes for a good debate. In fact, I will take this time to send love to Modern Day Debate, which inspired this discussion, and the link of which is in the description below. And yeah, so it makes for a good debate topic, yet I think that, as we've been saying, atheism really is the lack of belief in a god. It is a single...
Or gods, right.
Or gods.
Yeah.
It is a single thing. And as soon as you start to go out of that purview, you're talking about something else.
Something else,
right.
Exactly. Yep.
Now, it does entail that most atheists tend to be naturalists, tend to hold certain views, but that's by no means a rule.
Right.
You don't have to. It's just a response to claims by theists that we think haven't met the bar. They don't cut the mustard. They're not worthy of belief.
Yep. That's it. Doesn't tell you anything about me, anything else I believe, nothing.
And I have to say, I thought that was in the debate, I thought it was a missed opportunity when the atheist was asked why he didn't believe, and he kind of went into a kind of a convoluted story, which everybody has their own deconversion story. But I think I would say, if you ask me why I stopped believing, I'd say because I don't think it's true anymore.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And what led me down that path, it wasn't that I was mad at God and I didn't want him to be real. And so I started looking for things that, would lead me to be able to believe he's not real. It was, maybe some people get there, but those types of people who become atheists that way usually end up going back to theism. They're not really atheists. They're just kind of pissed off at God for the moment.
Yeah.
Like something really bad happens and they don't understand why. And the reason they don't understand why is because God has a plan. And the reason they don't understand his plan is because they're not as smart as he is. They don't know what he knows. So even though it's impossible for us to fathom or understand the 26D chess he's playing, we just have to know that at the end, everything he does is for good. Even if you don't understand it, he meant it for good. So you're the child who gets cancer and dies at 5 years old before they've even had a chance to live life. That was the best possible outcome. That was the best possible scenario. God could have theoretically stepped in and cured the child, but that would be worse in the end for everybody, including the child. It's better for them that they died according to God's plan, which I think is ludicrous.
And if I could just piggyback off what you said about why you don't believe, and then mix it with a pet peeve that I have been going over the past week. But there's been a number of presuppositionalists who have been saying that when you do not believe, when you are an atheist because you lack belief in evidence, that is a genetic fallacy.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Not even close.
Exactly. It literally makes no sense. And a genetic fallacy, for those who are unfamiliar, an example would be like, well, how can you be against the Confederacy? Your grandfather was a Confederate. And you're using their genetics to say that they can't possibly have a different outlook. That is a genetic fallacy.
Amy, you're Jewish. How can you not be Jewish? Because your parents and your ancestors were Jewish. Right. How can you say it's not true?
Exactly.
Similar.
And so
one of my
just to wrap that up is that it has nothing to do with us not believing for lack of good evidence. That is not a fallacy. It's not the genetic fallacy. Nope. And in fact, it is the right thing to do in one of the pillars of rational skepticism.
Yep.
And what were you saying, Bert?
I was just going to say the best example I've heard is my parents told me that God exists and they wouldn't lie to me, therefore God exists.
Yeah.
That's the
best genetic fallacy I've ever heard,
Well, what we get, it is very silly. And you know what we get a lot of? We get a lot of Christians in particular telling us that we don't believe because we don't want to believe, because we don't want there to be a God.
No, I actually do. It would be a lot of stress off of me if there was,
all
the time.
I'll tell you, there may be some people who fit into that category, but that wasn't me. I didn't want there not to be a God. I was happy with Christianity and with God and with the comforting thoughts that it gives you, letting you think that somebody's in control and all the mistakes you've ever made will be wiped away, and every tear will be dried, and nothing you've ever done really, all the mistakes you've made really don't matter because God's going to make it all good at the end. And you'll get to be with all your loved ones. You'll get to live forever. You don't have to worry about death. You don't have to worry about the future. God's got it all under control. And to think that somebody would necessarily want to give all that up for stone cold naturalism, which says the universe doesn't care about you. The universe doesn't give a shit whether you're happy, sad.
Nope.
You're going to die one day. And when you die, that's it. You're just gone. Bye-bye. Bye, Felicia. I mean, who would want that to be the reality versus the alternative? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
and Bert, if you're about to say something, when you're done your point, just tell me, and then we're going to get Oz in here.
No, go ahead.
Then there you go. With that, we are bringing on the Tang Gang, yo. That is right. We are bringing
that's Amy's grandfather.
on Oz.
The Rock.
That's right. This is what creationists think that atheists think that we come from. So
that's right. Yep.
This, I guess I can't really have pond scum, but apparently that's where we come from.
You want evidence for God, Amy. Where's the evidence we came from a rock? Owned.
I know. You're telling me from nothing, then there was a rock, and then it pooped out, and you were humans?
Cells just popped out?
Exactly. Goes just like that. Thank you.
That's the way I understand it. So, yeah.
Exactly. And all right, we are bringing Oz from Atheist Roundtable, the Atheist Network Group. What is up? I hope you are doing well as we midnight rant on what explains reality, atheism, or Christianity. And what are your thoughts?
First of all, I'm doing fucking fantastic, but I'll try to get better. Good to see you guys.
Ho, ho, ho.
And I think this is pretty simple. The best explanation for reality is never going to be a made up or conjured up thing, right? So I'm never going to look to make believe or a fantasy or a fairy tale as being the best explanation for something in our reality or our reality in its totality.
Yep.
So the fact that question is even put on the table is kind of mind-boggling to me. So that's my thought on it. So yeah, I don't read comic books and say, hey, this best defines the reason for our reality. That's it.
Well, this question is obviously asked to get views on YouTube because it doesn't make any damn sense. So
well, you know what? The only way it makes sense is when you look at it probably from their point of view, because I don't want to say straw man, maybe that's not the wrong thing, but they see enemies and they kind of package it that way. There is the evolution side and the creation side, even though that's not the actual line.
It's like when they try to say atheism is a religion too, because there are things you have to believe on faith. No, not at all.
Just definitionally, that is absolutely
inaccurate.
Incorrect and bullshit. Religion is defined as the worship or the service to a god or a deity. So get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Quit doing that.
Yeah, my God is not Carl Sagan. I promise you.
No, as awesome as Carl Sagan was.
Right.
He would be a fucking better God than the Christian God, but
true.
Having said that, he's still not God.
Yeah.
Very carefully, Doorknob. I had to sneak it past the TSA, so you can imagine where this rock was. Anyway, we are to everyone.
Science hasn't answered every question, but religion hasn't answered every question. Go ahead. Hasn't answered any questions. There you go. Go ahead.
Exactly. Well, and science will continue to answer questions and will continue to make predictions where religion can only work on information in the back, and it can only try to make prophecy fit to whatever it finds in the present.
And somehow they're always able to do it. Wouldn't you know that? They're always, any time period, they're always able to weave a narrative that makes it sound like their bullshit is true.
Yep. Who is Stephanie Tretton in the chat? Anybody?
I will say I see I see a whole bunch of lovely theists. We'll give some round out.
God has no rules. He gives that morrow to you. Okay, you wanna prove that, or?
Well, my thing is, I just want to know if God has a mind. My big peeve is just this whole mind God thing. If it has a brain or a mind, I know Oz looks like something just triggered his brain.
It uses your brain, and in return you can use it. I wish you'd come in here and explain that, because
I am also sending love to the spiritual manner. I will say The God's Illusion is a fantastic book, so I appreciate the compliment.
Who wrote that? Is that Randall Carlson? No.
Spiritual Mamser?
No, who wrote that book? The God.
Dawkins, Richard Dawkins.
Oh, Dawkins, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was thinking of someone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to talk about that stuff in the chat, but I mean, there's an open stream if you guys want to come on here.
I know. Come on in here. Explain.
Hold on. God has no rules. That's what that. Can we pull that up one more time? That way I don't misquote.
Sure.
Please and thank you.
God has no rules. He gives you that morrow to you.
God has no rules. So God did not single-handedly, supposedly, I think it's bullshit, but according to the Bible, he did not single-handedly give the 10 Commandments.
I don't know what, maybe that means he gives you tomorrow to you. I don't know. This typo.
Well, I'm just looking at the rules part. I mean, God created plenty. I mean, God gave the rules and regulations on how to handle slaves. Like that came from God.
How to sell your kids into slavery.
Yep. And how to trick your slaves into becoming your slaves for life.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Theus, I think you need some of this flex tape.
Yeah.
And hey, we will give theists as much time as they want, as long as we're having a dialogue back and forth. We want people who disagree with us, because we're just trying to figure things out.
Can't get enough of it.
Yep.
So Stuart, he's been a regular on Modern Day Debate. He's done lots of debates. He's debated some big names in the past, but this opponent today was a relatively new guy to the debate sphere, I think.
Was that Stuart Canettle? Was that him?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Stuart or his dad to actually give an argument.
No, they haven't. I've seen probably 8 of their debates, and it's all nonsense.
There's never an argument. Nope. There's never a point. It's just apologetic ramblings.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it boils down to, wouldn't it be a bummer? Wouldn't it suck if there was no God? Well, you can think that all you want, but that does not mean there is a God just because you don't want to contemplate a reality without a God. Yeah. Reality doesn't care what you want it to be.
I wish the Stephanie Tretton person would get on here.
They're always welcome. I always know some people are just watching because, you know, they're cleaning the room, they are cooking, they're jogging. But nonetheless, our theist brothers and sisters, we are sending an open invitation. What explains reality better? I will find a number of Christians who will say that we cannot even understand logic if we do not accept Christ is our Lord and Savior.
Wow.
I wish those people would come on here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And real quick, if I can, because it's Stephanie. So if the theists won't come on here, like every once in a while, if one sticks out to me, I'll address it real quick. So she said written by man for man.
Yeah.
Again, written physically by man. Correct statement. But almost every Christian doctrine and theology is that is written by man, but is an inspired, God-breathed text. So he inspired it, and he motivated. Some of them even go as far as say he guided the pen. He or whatever they wrote with back in the day. That he guided that. So that it's written by man for man. Well, then, if that's actually the case, that's actually your position, then why in the world would you choose to believe that? I'm not signing up for that.
And I just don't get Christianity at all. Like, I understand if you are born into it to where it makes complete sense. Because I watch people function daily, just as obviously a man coming back from the dead. But if you pull out just for a little bit, I really take big problem with sacrificing to a god. Just the entire notion doesn't matter if it's other animals, humans. In fact, I find it worse. The more they try and sell it, the worse it comes off to me. It's always like, well, no, we don't have to actually slit the ram's throat. We just got to slit a dude. And you're like, well, what? And you're like, no, don't freak out. This dude is actually really amazing. You're like, well, amazing? Yeah, you don't get it. He's perfect. We're going to kill the perfect man. Now do you get it? And it's like, no. Why are you killing someone? Why does killing someone that's perfect make it better? That only works if you are trying to get the best sacrifice, and you have to accept sacrificial logic. So sure, if you're raised into it, if you are brought up in it, if you understand even mythic structure, it kind of makes sense why you need to kill a guy for the god. But in reality, you're trying to do math, and the math is kill a guy plus he comes back from the dead equals God. It's like the math thrown out here.
Yeah, and Stephanie, I want to be respectful, even though I'm pushing back. I would love for you to come on and talk about these things, because there are a lot of gaps. There are a lot of holes in what you're presenting, and I would love to go, or we would love to go step by step and go through those, because a lot of things you're talking about when we're talking just breaking down the scripture and understanding the scripture and the format and the context and everything. I think there's some things we can dig into there, but it's hard when we're just reading comments and you're not here. So if you have the ability, and if not, it's cool. But if you have the ability, I would love for you to jump on and we can chop it up.
That's right. Once again, we love non-believers, the skeptic, the agnostic, the ally, but we are always looking for people who disagree with us.
We're practically begging for evidence.
Begging? I mean, I see these YouTube Christians go on all these different channels, or
YouTube Christians, yep.
Talk smack on their own. And while I love all of them out there, I find it funny that the channels that I think give them the most rope, they're not a fan to play jump with us.
Yeah,
but I
enough rope to hang themselves with.
And real quick, if she comes on, cool. But I, like certain comments like this, they're going to get. So I'm not picking on you, but these things have to be addressed when they're in the comment section, and it's there for everyone to read. So you were talking about the book was written by men for men, but they are, they're not. They're the bad ones. They're the greedy ones. They're the whatever the words you use.
The cheating men, yeah.
Cheating, all of that. Well, if that's the case, then you almost automatically have to dismiss at least three quarters of the New Testament, because Paul was a piece of shit. Paul was a piece of shit. So you have to throw 3/4 of the New Testament out according to your standards. So then what do you have to stand on? Because he's also considered to be one of the greatest supporting factors or points of argument for the crucifixion and resurrection. So I don't know how you can hold that position and it hold weight.
And Paul, if I could just rant on him for a second, such a weird thing. Can you imagine if in the year 2000 someone from the 1950s appeared to you and told you that they were the son of a deity? Come on, you would please tell me, someone, that you're either hallucinating, the drugs were good, there was a gas leak.
Wait,
it just...
Satan wrote what book? What are you talking about now?
Damn you, Satan. But it's just weird to me that a guy...
Yeah, this must be a troll or something.
Satan wrote that book. Well, I don't think she's a Christian. I think Stephanie is a deistic, or... I saw we had an agnostic theist in the channel. I'm sending love to them. I got in an argument with an agnostic theist once on Facebook, just going back and forth. And look, the closer you get to deism or an ally of science, you're more on our team, in my opinion. The closer creationism, the more you're doing harm. Nonetheless,
she's a Catholic, Amy.
She's a Catholic. Okay. I'm trying to...
Oh, then there's no way. No.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm not dressing anymore.
Hey.
Yeah. Sounds good.
We're good.
Not a fan of the institution. We'll leave it there lightly, but we love you. We love all of our theist brothers and sisters out there. What is up, pseudonym?
Pseudo.
Amy, because you guys know I want to protect and respect your channel and also the viewers, but as soon as there's claims made about it's a man-made book, yada yada yada, and then they're the bad people, yada yada yada, and then we talk about Paul, and then they say they're a Catholic. It's like, okay, then until we have good reason to have this conversation, then I'm done, because none of that aligns. None of that aligns.
Yeah. Catholics.
I was christened a Catholic. I can do nothing about that. That's not true at all.
They accept some science, but the science is not where. Well, here's that squared circle. Is that they accept the Big Bang, they accept evolution, and I guess maybe global warming. I'm not 100% sure what their position is. Nonetheless,
neither are they. They're not even sure what their position is.
Yeah. But then they do harm, because then they tell the people in Africa that condoms are more dangerous than AIDS. And so, every religion...
I mean, you won't get AIDS, you will go to hell. So, I mean, take your pick, AIDS or go to hell.
And hey, I will say you can, and I feel... like I said, Stephanie, I feel bad. It feels like we're picking on you. We just are sending you love, and we're asking the tough questions. That's really what we're trying to do here, because this is how we were driven to our positions. And I don't think you could be unchristened. I would say you could be, I think sometimes they call it for Jews, the Jewish. You could be maybe a lapsed Catholic or even an ex-Catholic. I would invite you to the lovely and ever-growing ex-Christian, ex-theist community.
Join the club.
Join the club, baby. But yes, I know that House of Comments said that he may join. I couldn't always tell. I thought he was Muslim, but maybe he's actually Christian. And
who's that?
One of the gentlemen that joined us.
House of Comments.
For House of Comments. I know that Bubblegum Gum, I think he left us for tonight.
No.
We're sending him love. Hey, I think he jumped out, even though evolution has nothing to do with theology.
Nothing.
But we are talking.
But it does have to do with reality.
No, exactly. we don't hate your mom and dad because they christen you. Why would you think that?
No. Yeah, exactly. If anything, we almost all of us, unless, there are a few. I think Randolph came from parents who had atheist, but almost all of us, I think everyone in this panel right now was a theist at one point in their life and comes from parents who were theists.
Yeah, and Stephanie, your last comment, you guys are unreal. I understand there's going to be frustration on both sides, right? And what Amy just said, most of us come from a background of theism and beliefs, so some of the things that we do, read, or hear can frustrate us. Either we relate to it on a personal level, or we've seen the damage that it causes, so on and so forth. So there can be those frustrations there, and I can understand why you would be frustrated with some of the things that even I've said. I've been very direct, very pointed in some of the things that I've said. But you had mentioned earlier that you don't want to argue. You don't want to do that. If you want to come on, I'm not interested in arguing. I'm not.
We don't argue here.
I don't want to debate. I don't want to argue. Amy doesn't want to debate. Nobody here wants to debate or argue. We want to hear the reasoning behind it. And it's hard to pull those things out via chat.
And we are about to get a theist in here.
Oh, looks like it to me.
Yeah. And I will say once again, Stephanie, I know when there's a more atheist to theist ratio, it sometimes feel like we're giving you pressure. But I can swear to you, especially from people like Oz, is that we are just trying to ask the same type of tough questions that led us to the positions that we hold now. So I assure you, you got a friend in me.
And we're not going to beat you up. I don't understand.
And so we're sending love, and we are going to keep on. We're also sending, right before we get into Ralph, I do have to send a shout out to the one, the only, the Biddy Buddha, who has a fantastic new show with Pat Lowinger on her YouTube Biddy Buddha channel herself. Go check that out. Woo-hoo. And all right. We are moving into the next round of open mic, sending love. It is Ralph. Ralph, we are Midnight Ranting on what explains reality, atheism, or Christianity. I hope you are doing well. And of course, what are your thoughts?
Well, good morning. I apologize for my voice. I have a bit of a cold, but good morning and God bless. Hope you had a great Christmas. Hi, James. Flex tape is a great idea. I like the ID flex tip, and hey, LA boy. So, I like the fact you say you don't want to debate, you don't want to argue, you want to be nice and lots of love. That all sounds good. I actually jumped on because I like what James said earlier. Because I want to throw something down for you chaps. You tell me what you think as atheists. I think we're racing and accelerating towards the entry of the transhuman phase of our technological world. And
you cut out. You cut out right there. Say that again.
I think we're accelerating clearly on a technical trajectory towards entering transhumanism once we pass the singularity. And James mentioned a Borg for two, or a micro Borg. Yeah, and I wonder, when I speak to most Muslims and other fellow Christians, we almost see that as the conditions to declare what we would draw a line as a holy war, because both Muslims and Christians agree that God made us in his own image. And then for any attempt to edit that DNA, edit that image, and transcend it into some sort of Uber Borg and melt us into the machine is going to create conditions for what we believe will be all about war. So given that that's about 3/4 of the planet, you look like the more we pursue this technical, scientific, Blade Runner type future, looks like conflict's coming. So I'm not sure what you chaps think about that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
If I could say really quick, what was your name again? Real quick, just not on the screen.
It's Ralph. I can change
Ralph. Okay, Ralph. I appreciate the presentation, but I have no clue what you're asking or where you're talking.
In fact, if I could just interrupt for 1 second, because I think I got some of your question, and I would just want clarification. It sounded like you were saying we are going to become increasingly transhuman to the point of what you call a singularity, or what, and then we will be going to war. I would just like clarification really on what you mean by transhuman, because I know a lot of atheists who actually have a positive view on it, and then what the fear is here.
Absolutely. So let me just make it clear. Sorry about my voice as well. So transhumanism, so the singularity has got nothing to do with transhumanism. It's just the point in technology where a quantum machine can calculate more computations per second than a human mind. So we Google and MIT estimate that to be somewhere between 2042 and 2045. And with that, we're going to be able to then do things to our human body, think the Matrix, and be able to create a human body that has been so modified by technology that it no longer resembles the current evolved DNA. So transhumanism is not an event, it's a period in technological time, and we're going to be entering that in our lifetime. And at the end of that, we might get up with some different types of post-human constructs. I think James said the Borg from science fiction, James like science fiction, the Borg,
yeah.
Yeah, any other kind of Borgification. But for theists, we see that as a outright declaration of war. Any attempt to edit our humanity is going to be something we will resist physically because it would violate our faith at such a deep level.
But Ralph, resistance is futile.
And the irony there, though, is generally speaking, I would say many atheists view religious view, especially once you get to heaven, as having Borg-like qualities. And so...
Yeah, that's that. Well, yeah, that's a separate point. But nevertheless, I think that looks inevitable, right? It looks inevitable that we are racing towards this, right? So if you Google
I have questions, but I think Oz has one. So all yours, Oz.
Mine's very simple. It's gonna be direct, but I'm saying it respectful.
I know the question.
So what?
Yeah, exactly.
And so what is answered by the top bit of your belief system, which is metaphysical. If you're a skeptic, if you're a naturalist, you believe in a natural explanation of the world, then so what is an obvious question. If you don't start with the proposition that we live in a natural world, so what is everything? So, right.
So, but the problem comes in that for almost all of us here are naturalists, and
I know you are.
Think
lovely bunch of naturalists too.
Thank you so very much. And I don't think it's going to be that easy. I know
that's
some
a good
of the
guess, Shane.
that you're alluding to. In fact, there is a fantastic show we just did called Skeptic and Ranting: The Technology of the Antichrist, which
I'll check that one out, baby.
Kind of glossing over, and it's that a lot of
this.
Oz
said it well, right? Oz asked me, so what? So if you believe let's look at the current state of science. If I was a naturalist, I believe the human being, I believe Oz is only constructed out of a 20,000 long genome in 4-dimensional space. He'll probably live for 80 years. His brain has 10 to the 90 neurons. So his entire lived experience is a set of Oz flying through 80 years of space-time, to which he just decomposes into other atoms.
Great.
So if Oz sees the world like that, then Oz says, hey, so what if I become a better genome? I'm more military advanced. I can't catch a cold. I could optimize this DNA function. It could be the best Oz I could ever be because I've been Ozified by the machine. And Oz can only see this, I assume, as a good thing, right? But if we don't believe that, I don't believe I'm just a piece of DNA flying through space-time. I believe I'm something more than that. Then, it's an issue. So
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Nope.
Okay.
Do you have a way of convincing us that?
So what I'm saying is, what's your natural worldview, right? If you're an atheist, let's just say you're just a naturalist. Make it easy. What do you believe your model of? Let's take it's nothing personal. Lots of love from here. But let's take Oz. I've never met Oz. Oz's world model must say he's a guy made out of DNA, right? And this 20,000 long DNA. It's going to run through space-time for 80 years. And that thing in his head called a brain is going to have these experiences. And when it's over, he's just going to become matter again. Correct, Oz?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I would agree with that, yes.
Yeah, so that's your naturalist worldview. But if you didn't hold that naturalist worldview, then obviously the transhuman phase that's coming is a very different threat to us than it is to you. For you guys, it looks like, hey, it could be a better world, right? For us, it looks like it's the, as Amy says, it is Satan's world arriving.
Wow.
Look at all the religious leaders of the world right now. Look at the Orthodox church heads, the imam. All of them are getting ready to lay down a line that says this is not going to be allowed to happen.
What does this have to do with God?
But yet when it does happen and nothing happens and Satan doesn't rule the world, they'll just move on to the next thing. Like, oh, new thing is going to be the end of the world.
Well, maybe so, but I rather than thinking what my view is, I've been looking at what the Orthodox churches say, the Russian priests, the Catholic priests, Protestants, looking at what Muslims have been saying. And they all say that this is something we're not going to accept.
What are you?
So
you say this is
James'
something.
point.
But what are you not accepting? Like, what is going? The Borg is almost an extreme version where it is forced assimilation against the will and all this stuff. I know. Bird is like, what the? Can I ask what you are fearful of? And if you could, with both of those two reactions, then tie it back to theology.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I say, a metaphorical line is drawn in the sand, because what we're saying is the Borg is just an extreme example.
A metaphorical line in the sand. You're gonna have to.
So what we're saying is we're not going to accept our DNA, which is the only thing that describes our humanity.
Hold on. Can I start? Because this, I'm ADHD as fuck.
That's all right.
I need shit. I need shit, Ralph. I appreciate you, but I need shit laid out like plain and simple. So what is the actual argument, or what are you? Because I'm so lost, and I'm trying hard. I'm listening, and I'm trying so hard. Like, what is the actual argument? What are you presenting? Because I'm Confucius right now.
Okay, no worries. So in simple English, in a few decades, science and technology will allow us to edit the human genome, which is the only thing that describes how you are human.
Pause.
And we're not going to let that thing go down.
Hold on. This is where it's going to help me, because this is where I'm not interrupting. I'm pausing. That way my ADHD brain doesn't forget the question. So what you just said. So is that a claim, or is that just an observation? Like, are you asserting that?
It's an observation, plus it's a set of claims that other theists like me make, including very prominent theists. We're not going to we are not going to participate in the experiment editing the DNA.
Are you saying that eugenics is going to happen soon? Is that like where I'm trying to, like, what is the big fear? I feel like you're not telling us.
It's not a fear. There's nothing. We're not scared at all.
So are you anti-vax?
You sound pretty scared.
Because I don't think anything that drastic is going to happen in the future. I think when you're talking about editing genes, it's like, oh no, Billy is actually going to develop Alzheimer's or something at 67. And we actually have learned this and are going to go in there and try and edit the gene so that Billy doesn't get Alzheimer's or whatever the genetic disorder is.
Correct.
But I don't see where the fear is, other than you're like, we're going to be able to edit genes, and then everyone will be under their control.
They'll
edit
your genes to worship the devil, Amy. They'll force you to do it.
Well, they also like a model set of confused claims. Let me clarify. You gave me an example of a good example of Billy's cancer, right? Hang on a second. Let me address Amy. Billy's cancer. But I could give you a bad example. You might want to have 4 arms.
This is important. Hold on. Do you?
That's it.
Are you alluding to, without including? And this may be what Amy was getting to. Are you possibly? And you can tell me no if it's something wrong. Are you possibly asserting or suggesting that the future happenings of these the morphing or changing, whatever, are due to COVID and the vaccines and the science behind that, changing DNAs and all that? Are you alluding to that?
No, changing science and changing DNA has been conceived since DNA was conceived. So since 1955, so it's nothing to do with COVID. COVID is going to be an excuse for those who.
That's the big.
COVID's going to be an excuse. May I answer? COVID's going to be an excuse for those who have that agenda to accelerate that agenda, but that agenda has got nothing to do with editing DNA. So Amy gave a great example of fixing cancer. Another example could be making 5 legs or 2 penises.
What?
So the question
you try and flatter me now and get me excited.
Right?
Yeah.
So the question could be, you could use it for something benign and good, saving little Billy from cancer, or you could decide I want 360 belted penises to satisfy myself sexually. And
Jesus fucking Christ.
What's wrong with that?
But Ralph, my question for you is, like, I don't get what the giant fear is. I don't get where it's.
You can use the
coming
word
from.
fear. I haven't used the word fear.
Okay.
It's not fear.
Well, you
said
sound
it
afraid.
won't happen.
Well, those are all
Won't let it happen.
you're just violating. I think you guys like fallacies, right? You're just violating the attribution
Well, I'm
fallacies.
trying
I'm
to
not
say-
using the word.
No.
So would you say it's the other
The ones-
emotion? Would you say that you're excited for this to happen?
I think if you talk to different people, I personally I have friends of different sides of the camp. Some say it's a necessary divine showdown. Others are very concerned about it because we don't want to see conflict. But we all agree that Billy 12 penises against Billy being saved by cancer is not an option we're going to entertain.
So you went all the way to the other side, and now
I'm good like that.
now you're accusing us of fallacious reasoning, and those
Fallacious attribution of reasoning.
So if we're going to do those,
the attributed fear when I've used the word fear.
If we're going to do those things, then I need you to put your argument or whatever into a syllogism and present it. That way we can attack it, and we need to have evidence. We have evidence to back up your claims. If we're going to start talking about fallacies and fallacious thoughts or reasoning or whatever, if that's the direction we're going to go, you also need to operate in a similar.
So the only claims I have made is that there is a coming claim number one. There is a coming future defined by a period.
Sure.
The attribute transhumanism. Claim two is that inside this phase of claim one, the ability to edit the human genome is coming. And claim three I made is people of the Abrahamic faiths consider such a thing a heresy.
There it was.
And claim number four, we're prepared to go to war, baby. Those are my four claims, right?
Okay. I think that transhumanism is coming in that we will integrate with artificial
machines.
Like Elon Musk is going to create things that are going to let us turn our car on by just thinking about it. Stuff like that. I also think that the use of artificial limbs will continue to take, what's the best word? Will be better assimilated into the human body and more accurate like a real limb. And I think that is the transhumanism that's going forward. Now, is there the possibility of the evil side?
But we already have that, Amy.
Yeah, no.
We can already attach an arm to someone that doesn't have an arm, and they can just think and it works.
I 100% agree. I mean, the word transhumanism is just saying that we are going to further integrate artificial means in with the human body.
That's the first phase, and then strictly technically, the better word is not transhumanism, but posthumanism. And then there are models of posthumanism that result as a consequence of editing your DNA. But we're not even going that far. We're just saying, as soon as you do that, whether it's for good or for bad, you crash our world model.
Can I ask?
Like, bring it.
Ralph, what better explains reality, theism or atheism?
Theism, atheism, an answer is neither.
Yeah,
because the comparison operation better is going to be defined by your metaphysical worldview. If you're a naturalist, then an explanation is something by the scientific method. If you're a theist, the explanation is not the descriptor of the universe. So the question is malformed.
Okay, I would then ask the question in a different matter. What is your worldview on reality?
Oh yeah, I believe that the universe has been created by God, and I believe I'm a scientist. I believe the scientific method is one of the ways we use to explore that universe. But I believe I am a metaphysical creature. I believe I'm a soul occupying. So when I compare myself to Oz, I don't believe I'm just a 20,000 long string of DNA. I believe that body is a vehicle for my soul, and therefore I believe my worldview is spirit experience. That's me.
But
that's any.
But just,
absolutely.
Because Ralph, this would apply to you, me, everybody watching that's on the panel right now, everybody watching this. Just because we believe something doesn't mean that it's true, that it's accurate. That's what I'm saying. Like for what you're stating, do you are there links? Are there studies, peer papers that we can go and read and research to actually know that what
It's very
you're.
difficult to hear you with the background noise. Is it you or someone else? I think are you dropping something?
No, it's not me.
Okay, I'm sorry, because every other word, I can't quite understand you. Sorry, say it again, man.
Okay. What I was saying is it like just because you or I or Amy or anybody else watching or listening right now, just because we believe a certain thing doesn't mean that it's true or correct or accurate. So what I'm still asking you is, based on the things that you've shared tonight, I'm willing to look into it and study and dig in. Do you have are there websites? Is there peer-reviewed papers? Is there anything that we can go and fact check on what you're talking about? Because as a skeptic, before I'm ever atheist, I'm a skeptic. So as a skeptic, do you have is there anything that you can provide that I can go to and research this?
No, I mean, I don't know if your background technological or not, for example, but I suggest you can go straight away to what authorities would you like? You can go to Caltech or MIT, or you can go to any of those organizations and go to their transhuman.
No,
Then you can find the transhumanist agenda. You can find the timelines of the singularity.
No, Ralph, what I'm asking you is, so in the private chat, if you have it readily available in the private chat, if you can throw up 2, 3, maybe 4 links, whatever you're comfortable with, in the private chat, and put that in it. That way, the rest of us can go and be more in tuned and understanding of what you're talking about. That way, the next time we have a conversation, it's not like, what are we doing right now? What are we talking about right now? That we have a better understanding of what you're bringing to the table. Because right now, I don't know about you guys. I won't speak for you guys. I'm still lost in the sauce. Like I don't know what's going on. So.
Okay, so okay, so let me give you the Google Books links to transhumanism if you want. Or I'm trying to work out, but I don't know I don't know what your background is. Because you seem to not understand what transhumanism even is, right? Is that where you want to start?
Well, Ralph, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to do it because I think this is the proper way to approach this. It doesn't matter what my background is. You should be able to provide me links to go to where I can go to those links and research it. And then if I need to further dig in, then I can do the further research on my own, with or without the
and if I could just say, Oz, I mean, I have heard this before just because we just did an episode on this. And it is, I know Randolph will say it's not a fear.
Hey, Randolph.
Randolph. Oh, what's up, Randolph, who is backstage, and we're about to. Yeah, I know Ralph will say it's not a fear. That is the not choice of words. In my opinion, there seems to be this low underlying fear of the coming technology. Words like singularity seem to have really made a lot of, in my opinion, creationists go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. A lot of people tie it with the Antichrist and all this stuff. Yet, to me, it just seems like a fear of the unknown. We don't know what is going on into the future. We don't know what the future will bring us in terms of technology or how the technology will affect us. Nonetheless, I generally think that it is a good thing, and that for the most part, all of the fruits that technology and science has given us, we've just needed to manage and needed to have an ounce of self-discipline.
I'm not making any of those claims. I'm not saying anything about fear. I'm not saying whether they're not. I'm a technologist. Obviously, I track things like the quantum computing timeline. Because I'm very interested in quantum computing. I'm
saying not fear, but you're going to war.
You guys keep attributing the word fear, and you understand. You guys are fallacies that you're attributing a property to me that I never claimed. And then when I say I don't claim that property, you say actually you do claim the property by some hidden thing, and I think you're really driven by fear.
That you are tying to it. I don't mean to say. But it doesn't sound like you're saying that's a good thing. And many of the atheists are. They are saying transhumanism is the future. And
absolutely right. Because I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why. Because there's two bits. There's good bits of a technology and there's bad bits of a technology. You can say the same for nuclear technology. Wow, someone sounded crazy. Steam engine, etc. But this one is very different for us because this one is one that edits the human being with the assumption that the human being is only material. So you can see why you guys like arguing with religious people all day, right? Atheists, right? You understand that it's not just creationism; it's the idea of a soul, right? So basically, if you could edit a human being entirely, you're effectively editing the vehicle of the soul. You can see why.
We don't have a soul.
Yeah, exactly.
I
You don't believe you have a soul, therefore you'd think there'd be no problem, right?
No.
But
There's
imagine
no
the
soul
majority of the
because
world
it's
don't
never
agree
been
with you.
proven.
So then, once again, you don't. But the word is not fear. You have a what of them being able to change. You're excited they're going to be able to change their genome. You are looking forward.
We're looking forward to
neutral.
the risk of conflict. We're looking forward to the risk of World War
Conflict.
III.
Why? Because they
Because we
are.
won't let you.
So you're saying that they are not excited. They may even be scared, or I'm trying to.
Yeah, it would be a different word. I'll be honest. I'll tell you, if you frame what my feeling is, I believe the thing is unholy and therefore should be fought. I believe it's the conditions of a bellum sacrum. I believe it is the conditions for war.
No, he said it's
I don't believe
unholy.
we should not be able to be made batteries into the matrix, right?
I do not think
That sounds like fear, but
I know you guys seem to love the word fear. You all seem so fearful. I mean, I'm not fearful at all.
We're not fearful. You are.
Since we do not believe that we're headed for war and that we actually believe that it is moving in a positive direction, I cannot see how it would be fearful.
But I mean, Ralph, the Christians haven't been able to fight themselves out of a wet paper bag. They've lost every single social battle they've tried to wage in 50 years, even when they held an overwhelming majority of the population. Now you're saying they're going to go to war over transhumanism. I just see them rolling over and saying, okay, it's God's will. Move on.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a social issue. I think Muslims will be joining with us in a militant fashion, not to have a social battle, have a physical battle.
In a quick, like 5 minutes, since the last time I spoke with you, Ralph, I did some Google searches, and this is like, these are far reaches, bro. Like you're reaching. Like this is like go gadget arm, like go gadget arm to reach out and do this shit. So I'm gonna need better evidence than just I think and I hope.
I'm not American, so I don't understand half of what those words mean.
Huh?
So I don't know what go gadget and all that stuff means. Do you want to look? Here's the AI Institute data for the actual trajectory of the timeline. Do you want?
It comes from a cartoon called Inspector Gadget, which was probably popular
cartoons and cuddly toys, not really my thing. Here's the current. I've dropped the research scientist.
Even when you were a kid.
I dropped the research.
From like 20 years
backlink for Oz.
Ralph, hold on.
Hey, Oz, I'll give you another link. Look at the next link.
Stop. No, because I've been cool the entire time, and you keep throwing different little jabs out. So I'm gonna become more and more assertive as we go along here. Because I'm not. You are because you keep telling everybody else that they're projecting fear or they're assuming fear. That's not it at all. We're trying to figure out what the hell you're talking about, bro. We're trying to figure out what the hell you're talking about. So just pause.
You seem to struggle with understanding, don't you?
Take a breath. Take a breath, bro. Take a breath.
No, we're not struggling with understanding. You're struggling with telling us what your ideas are.
Okay, let me just very
it's
simply.
It's a you problem, not an us problem.
Sure, I'm sure it's not you, me. It's not me, baby. It's you, whatever. But in the last
help us help you.
In the last link I just put there is the research meta-studies of every AI researcher, 995 AI researchers, historical projections of the singularity timeline. Stop and look at that piece of data. That's the metadata study of 995 of the top brains in artificial intelligence.
And you're saying this is a good thing, by the way. This is good. You're not scared. You're excited for it to happen.
No, Amy, that's a good question for you and I to have. But Oz seems to not understand what the baseline is. He says, I just don't seem to understand what you're talking about. So I'm going to make sure that Oz is brought back up to the baseline first, and then you can have the conversation Amy and I having, which is like a layer 5. Can you look at that picture? Do you understand what that meta study of all researchers says, Oz?
The one you put in the chat?
The one in the side chat, the private chat. That's the meta studies of all current researchers in AI over longitudinal time.
Just to reiterate, a singularity is when
that says
there will be programs that can update
so when
themselves without our actually editing them. They will actually be able to update themselves.
No, that's not the singularity is. So right now, Google and MIT have got and Caltech are in an arms race war to build the first machine that hits us. The singularity explicitly is when a quantum computer can generate more processing power than the combined maximum processing power of a human brain.
Ralph,
The human brain has 10 to the 19 neurons.
That is not. That is
Oh
not.
God.
please,
What
Ralph, here's what we're telling you.
singularity is.
Here's what we're telling you is anytime somebody brings up a point, you're saying you don't get it, or you're fearing, or and you even throughout the word fallacy or fallacious at one point. Here's what it is. We don't collectively, we may get pieces of it. We catch parts of it. A collective in trying to be patient and listen, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So please make it more simplistic. So maybe, and I'll speak for myself.
I can educate you.
Somebody that's way
I can help you understand if you're willing to understand.
Ralph, like you just said, let me speak. Right? You said it a minute ago. Let me finish. Let me finish. I'll be good. I'm obviously way less intelligent than you are. You have a much better grasp on all this than you do. So please take it down to the most elementary form. Like take it down to kindergarten.
And
I need it broke down to kindergarten.
And I do need to pause you guys. I know you want to explain it, but I do have to just show this really quickly. So we're just gonna go like this.
Damn, James, that's loud.
Yeah, there's some crazy mics going on.
Just gonna go
Totally crazy.
We're gonna make it a little bit bigger. So the technology singularity, or simply the singularity, is a hypothetical point of time which the technology growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization.
Right. So that's a Wikipedia level entry. If you break it down into the technical pieces.
Once again, Ralph is not using the standard definition of a technology singularity. It is about, once again, an intelligent agent that will run away after self-improvement. That is what the going standard. Yeah,
so
definition.
Amy, you're right. And underneath that, so if you look at this is obviously my field. If you look underneath that, the biggest first milestone for that thing to occur, the first milestone is when a quantum machine exceeds the 10 to the 19 neuron processing speed of a brain. So that's what Google, MIT, Caltech, Oxford are all racing towards, spending billions and billions of dollars. Google the MIT quantum computing machine, visual pictures, and you see the machines. And we're trying to hit that point. And after we hit that first point, think of it like a ladder, then we might be able to get to this bit on the Wikipedia page, which might be at ladder step 5 or 6. And that thing
Can
is
I ask a
heading
question?
towards what we call transhumanism.
Can I ask a simple question? Isn't that what science is? It's a ladder, and we learn stuff and get better, and we learn stuff and get better, and we learn stuff.
It is.
So what's the problem? And how does the soul?
Definition to science.
How does this mean a soul?
The problem with that is if you don't believe there's a soul, then it's not a problem at all.
Okay, great. I don't. So how do you prove a soul, please?
Yeah, you can't prove a soul. Right?
Then why do you believe in it?
Because I don't need a proof to believe in it. You need a proof to believe in it.
No, sir.
Yes. You asked
that,
for one, right?
That is ridiculous. That is antithetical.
You might annotate it as you like, but nevertheless, you wanted a proof for you to believe.
Okay, I'm not agitated at you. If you let me talk,
nice.
Jesus Christ. If you let me talk and finish what I'm saying, you're saying you don't need proof of a soul, but yet you believe there's a soul. Why?
I don't believe there's a soul. I know I have a soul. It's a dogmatic assertion.
How do you know that?
It's a dogmatic assertion.
Okay,
that is interesting because I would claim I know I don't have a soul. So how do we know which one of us is right?
Thank you.
No, you guys are skeptics, right? So you don't trust anything.
That doesn't mean I don't know things. Just like I know a soul doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not. The only thing you're dogmatic about is your skepticism. You're right at one end of the number.
No, wrong.
Right at the other end.
But you would agree that since we both have equal claims here, we can't know. You're just
correct.
You're just assert.
Wow. I can't know you're right, and you can't. I can prove you're wrong, and you can't prove I'm wrong, right?
I don't have to prove you're
wrong. I
wrong.
would say yours is unfalsifiable.
Correct.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I know that's like saying, hey, let's play a game, right? But you go one scorecard, I go one scorecard, and you're saying, I want you to play your game by my scorecard.
I can do this with you all night. As long as you want to do it, I can go too. I got all the win just with you. We don't have to accept it. We don't have to accept it. Just because you think it's true doesn't mean that we have to accept it. It doesn't mean
you don't. Correct.
True.
Yeah, I'm not. You won't hear me preaching to you. You can
yes,
carry
you
on.
Are. What are you talking about?
Have I proselytized? I'm saying you guys can keep being
I didn't say
skeptical.
proselytize. You said
Oh my
preach,
God.
and you're preaching at us right now.
Yeah. But I'm saying, but I'm no problem with skeptics, man. I think skeptics are an essential part of the of
We're
God's plan.
sending love back.
you're not a
and we're going to
skeptic.
read 2 comments.
We
You
love
just believe,
skeptics.
you
And
just
they get
believe
ran
shit
off.
willy nilly.
Christ commands me to love you. I don't even know you, and I have to love you. You think you
Oh
ever?
my God. You don't love me. You don't even know me. How can you say that?
No,
So-
I know true love. Christian
Pat says, and we're sending love to Pat Lowinger. We aren't going to
you're
let this
obviously a
happen.
troll. This is ridiculous.
This line drawn in the sand is a
You like that, eh?
conditional threat by Christians
No, I don't like
against
that. I
the
think you're
rest of the
ridiculous.
world. Either we all remain,
Don't let him trigger you, Bird.
or else.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's going to be that big of changes. And when the big changes happen, the new generation will be used to it. It's just
It'll be like
going to
nothing.
happen. It's not going to be by a big, just like I think we're all going to be vegetarians one day. And I do not think that it will be because we chose to do that. I think that it will become so expensive to have real meat that the synthetic version will be cheaper, and you will see signs at McDonald's Plus that just says made with almost real meat.
Yeah,
And
3D printers, right? Yeah, absolutely. You can see, and you know, we can call that thing gradualism, right, Amy? There's going to be gradual, slow changes, and the new generation are getting born into it. So they're not going to see some acute thing, and that's
what
also
it
very
is.
can I
What
ask,
do you
is it
mean?
so terrible if everyone's a vegetarian?
Yeah.
I personally, I don't mind if you're a vegetarian, but I have no problem with eating meat.
I agree, but I'm
I
saying
agree with you. We all do.
my hypothetical scenario, because I'm an omnivore, I probably should eat more vegetables, not the other way around. Nonetheless, I think that the market will eventually drive us to something like vegetarianism. Just like I'm saying that the market will probably drive us to have a chip in your hand to open your car door. It's not going to be the New World Order. It's not going to be this Borg connection thing. It's going to be, Siri, please, I want my motorcycle. Siri, please cover. So it's going to rain out, so please cover the window.
So Ralph, let me be clear. So on this channel, what we like to do is we like to have theists come on, present their evidence for their God, and then we can talk about it. So
Yeah, that would be
get
nice.
to that? Would that be okay? Or do you just
you want to
care?
do that? Yeah, I don't have much longer because it's quite early here in Berlin. But yeah, we can do this, but we'll do it the way I'd like to do it, which of course is we'll start with the outer world view and we'll work ourselves in, right?
What do you mean an outer world view?
Yeah, because we'll start at the top, and you have a word that is. I'm not gonna speak for you, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'll take a guess. You are a skeptic, so you believe in methodological naturalism. You believe the world is physical, and you believe the best way to get it is by incrementally
Ralph.
reasoning about it. And
Ralph,
you want to have in that word of reason. You want to look.
Ralph,
I'm sorry, what's that? I haven't quite finished.
That's not I know, but that's not what he asked you. This is what you keep doing. That's not what he asked you.
Not at all.
Are you a theist? Are you a Christian? Are you a Buddhist? Are you a Muslim? What is it? And state your position. And don't do all the gymnastics.
Oh, so you want evidence? You want evidence? You want reason plus logic for existence of God. There's not going to be anything I can give you that you will accept.
Okay, then why do you believe in it?
No, but what I'm saying, there's nothing I will give you by your standards that you will accept.
No,
futile
bullshit.
exercise. Unless you want to play with toys, I can throw you some toys and you can.
Bullshit.
Do you have a personal reason, Ralph, why you believe?
Yeah, but exactly what I'm trying to explain to you. If I give you experience and reason, which is what you're asking me for, like a little cuddly toy to play with, you'll attack it. You're not going to believe, right?
But Ralph, truth.
What's the point? I mean, I can entertain you and do that. You can get all excited.
Ralph, if you have truth, if you possess truth, you know truth. Truth does not fear investigation. You will openly invite investigation.
That's what you mean by truth, isn't it?
No, it doesn't. No, truth is truth,
of course
man.
it does. What do you mean by?
What comports with reality?
That's crazy. What do you mean
Quit
it does?
with the word games and just tell us why you believe what you believe, man.
Oh, okay, I can do, but every time I do, you guys get excited and say, "Well, you want something else."
Go for it.
Every time I try. See what I mean is, every time I try to describe it, you get upset.
The floor is all yours. Go.
Okay, you've said that twice now.
Every time you keep talking.
Three times.
Go ahead, Ralph. Take a stab at it.
Every time I try to describe the basis of my faith on my terms, You want to describe to you on the basis of your terms, and then you get upset if I don't do it in your terms. So let me start once more and use the last sentence I went through. It was Ozzy.
Perfect.
He says,
Go for it.
why do you believe that in God is the truth? And for me, my first position is, depends what you mean by true.
No,
because what you and I mean by true are completely different things.
No,
Every Christian
no.
and Muslim.
Oh, let him explain it.
Wow, you
Let
see
him
what I
explain.
mean? You guys say
This
the
is a
floor is
waste of
yours.
time.
The floor is yours, and I only have to go a few sentences because you get so excited. You've got to grab at it, but you're not willing to listen or to learn.
All right, go ahead, Ralph.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, if I just look at this, I'm a scientist. There's no notion of truth without the philosophy of science. Either you're a realist or anti-realist. You're an instrumentalist or you're a naive realist. You believe in scientific realism, correspondence theory, coherence theory. Even within materialism, the notion of truth has a metaphysical position. For theists, our metaphysical position is not like yours. You keep asking me, hey, in some arbitrary version of truth, give me some evidence and reason and logic. I can do that, but you're not going to believe. If you ask me what I believe,
then do it.
I believe that I can
talking
describe
about
my
it and get to
worldview
it.
to you. And to describe my world to you, you're going to have to be willing to listen to it. I believe, here's my worldview. I believe the universe is a God's creation, and its revelation to us, according to physics, maths, computing, is revealed to creatures with souls that are going to go in an eschatological journey. That's what we believe in my faith. That's the foundation, not my faith, the foundation of 2,000 years of some of the greatest believers, not me. And I'm just a carrier of the same tradition. Now, for you guys, you look and go, but it's not real, it's not truthful. And we can do that if you like. We can play logic games.
I just have a problem with revelation. Like the notion of just a God kind of surprising, talking, having one-on-one conversations with just very specific people, but not others. And I'll let you comment, and then I'm going to make a comment, and then we got to get from Pat, and then
Randolph.
we got to get Randolph in. What were you going to say?
I got to be able to. My wife is up now.
Oh, you're good, Ralph. If you want, you can have a closing statement. I know we've been going back and forth. We always, even though it gets spicy,
no, I got another 5-10 minutes. No worries. I got
another
about 10 minutes. She's just stirred. So we're cool.
Well, sounds good.
She's laughing in the background.
I'm just going to bring up a comment from Pat again then. The claim of having a soul is completely unfounded assertion made without any demonstrable evidence. It is untestable, unverifiable, and ultimately unknowable. This is utter rubbish.
Correct.
Absolutely. So that's a great statement by whoever that chap was. He described the subcomponents of the scientific method. Is it got a null hypothesis? Is it verifiable, testifiable, falsifiable? Does it have explanatory power via Deutsch? And we can look at all of these things and their mechanisms within a metaphysical worldview that we don't share. So I agree as a scientist. It can't make novel, testable predictions. Whoever made that quote. But its job is not to do so.
What?
So therefore, you're measuring the wrong thing with the wrong tool. Your tools are maladapted.
No, we're not.
Right? Well, you are.
We're not.
Because let me give this way. Can you use your tools to describe the soul?
No, we don't have one.
Therefore, that you use the wrong tools, right?
No. What are you talking about?
And I gotta. It's like 3 a.m. my time. That's the thing. That's such a, and the fact that you chuckle at it, that you say that you chuckle at it when you have absolutely zilch, no evidence to support a claim for a soul or a supernatural or anything like that. It demonstrates, and I'm just going to go out and say it now because you already threw out the fallacious accusations and things like that. For anyone to come on and assert or pretend that souls or a supernatural or anything like that is a reason to the base of belief or an understanding on something, that in and of itself is fallacious and bullshit, Ralph. So the fact that you keep doing that and trying to run all these circles around people, you're not fooling anybody.
Nope.
And you're not helping the conversation. You're not helping us to learn. Like we're obviously here to learn. We're trying to learn from you and ask questions, and you keep giving us a runaround. So Amy, James, everybody, I love you. It's
love you, Oz.
See you, Oz.
Love right
God
back.
bless you, Oz. God bless you, my man.
That's
Have
not
a
real.
blessed day.
Our brother
Jesus
from
is
another
enough.
mother.
I will bless me. I will bless me. But
Thank you.
And I also want to send a shout out to Tart.live, where you can find more awesome non-believer quality content. And I also want to bring up one last, I brought up both of Pat's questions. So keep on sending in any of the comments, questions, or one-liners you have for us, James W. and myself at Amy Newman. And with that, we are going to bring Randolph in. I know he has a lot to say on the subject. I hope you are doing well. We actually just had a fantastic episode with Randolph as our special guest host. And of course, what explains reality better, atheism or Christianity?
Well, I'll start off right out of the gate by saying atheism doesn't explain anything.
That's right.
But since it's only a classification of not believing in deities, but the Christianity, from what I can see, fails to explain reality. And one of the things that stands out to me is that the Bible states that the value of pi is 3.0, not 3.1415926, on and on it goes, right? So that's a problem, and that's so if you're going to describe reality, you need to be more accurate than 3.0 with pi when you're getting into some basic stuff in regular mathematics and physics and whatnot. I think there's other issues too. There's the order in which planet was created in Genesis, and when light came about and things like that. And the order doesn't really make sense with our modern understanding of how the solar system works and whatnot, and how things in space work. So there's all kinds of things. The list goes on and on. So I think because it fails in these very basic areas right off the bat, it's reasonable to dismiss it as accurately describing reality, Christianity, that is. Thank you.
I think that's well said. Good evening, sir, or good morning, whatever time it is in your
world. It's 22:30.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Oh, it is. Gosh, it's really early in the morning here, and I have to take the missus and do the
good morning to you.
She's smiling in the background. But no, you're absolutely right, because I've been a science lover all my life. So I could be a scientist, I could be a mathematician when I was a kid. Absolutely, we see science constantly giving us the next evolution of the standard model. We now know, after Penrose hammer off of solve things, Deutsch, etc., we have a deep understanding. As we drill into the universe, what does it even mean? What does time even mean? What does matter mean, right? And I'm all for that. But then there's this other worldview we have, and you may say it claims it lacks explanatory power, but really the only flaw in that is you're still using the scientific method to scorecard it. So in my simple, I can probably say this to you guys in comedy, Mr. Richardson, is that I literally think of the universe. When I look at, I don't see space-time in 13.8 billion years. I see a revelation, and this is my lived experience, my revelation of this thing, for which I see science as a tool to probe it, as a way of getting closer to God. I don't know if that makes sense at a simple, kind of higher level order. Now, you might say, "Oh, that's incorrect," and might not address Planck's constant properly, or might not deal with the A and B series of time. And we'll take all those arguments on, but really, the first difference is the orientation. My orientation is I don't believe I'm, this piece of genome in space-time that's going to go back to matter when it's over, and that's it.
Well, when you talk about using science to get closer to God, science is impartial to deities. And that is the advantage of using it, is that it is a tool that gives us that we can use to kind of measure and understand reality. Now, closer to God is a whole different topic, and in order to get there, we're going to have to see some kind of way of validating that a male deity is real and that is interacting with reality. If it's interacting with reality, then we should be able to measure its effects and be able to determine that, hey, this is unexpected, this is happening, and to rule out sources such as absolutely nothing and other possible concepts like that as well. The theistic idea of a deity being somehow interacting with reality is quite a high burden to reach to reach for, and so there is quite a lot of different things that have to be demonstrated before a lot of people would find it credible, I think.
I think you're right as well, because I think the more it's like two sides of a coin, right? The more we dig in and we look at science, the more we understand. Just look at the big phase transitions in physics, right? Just going from the black body experiment and Newtonian mechanics to just basic quantum mechanics of relativity, and now to field theory. Everything we thought we knew before always seems to be shaken by the new, deep understanding. And it's natural and reasonable to think that somehow gives me a stronger case against God. And I don't believe it does. I believe it does the actual opposite. I believe it actually is giving me a way to know, and I'll be very upfront and honest because I do have to take the misses, is wired into my faith is absolute, perpetual and constant doubt. I could not be a Christian if I did not doubt my faith all day, every day. Doubting my faith is wired in. St. Thomas pressed the flesh 3 times, doubted the resurrection of Christ. So I use science, and science is critical to me in my pursuit of refinement of doubt, which is a healthy intellectual pursuit. And, and therefore I believe that doubt should be honest, because I'm a Christian. I believe there's an honest approach to doubt, and I should always not lie to myself, because God would know I was lying. Or if God didn't exist and I was lying to myself, I need help, for example, right? Because if I looked at other people lying to themselves, I'd want to help them, right? So, but I haven't yet been convinced of everything I've seen in my 54 years of existence on this planet that the ontology du jour of field theory has doing anything to scratch my faith. Maybe my faith is too stubborn, Mr. Richard.
So Randolph,
What kind of scientist are you?
I just have one quick thing to respond to that, if that's okay.
Sure. Well, I just want to say, it looks like Bird wants to know what kind of scientist you are. Randolph wants to ask a question, and then when you two guys are done, I'm going to bring up a comment.
Just want to respond quickly.
Then I do have to dash up to that.
You mentioned that science adapts as new information comes along, and that's the whole point, is as we gain a better understanding of how things work. Like, for example, the idea of a single black hole, a single Big Bang being the cause of our universe, was updated by Penrose and Hawking to include multiple Big Bangs in light of a better understanding of quantum physics. So there are improvements that are made. And in a sense, I guess you could say that perhaps the Holy Bible was a very early attempt at describing what was thought to be common knowledge, such as pi being 3.0. Now, the Bible has not been adapted to take new information. It still says it's 3.0, yet science adjusts and rewrites and improves. And what we can say about science is it's giving us the best understanding of what seems to be the case for us now, whereas the Bible seems to be stuck in the past. It does not seem to be improving in this regard. And when people talk about making suggestions about updating holy doctrines, the same with Islam, the same with others, it's often rejected under the idea that, that's God's word. You can't change God's word. It's perfect. And there are a lot of people who follow these religions who say that. Nobody's doing this in science, as far as I know.
Absolutely. And that's not surprising, because if you imagine the power of science as being its ability to continuously adapt, it would always be generating the next best physics, right? In 2000 years, atomists, then the alchemy, then Newtonian physics, then all this stuff, getting better and better and better. But that's because it's skeptical. If you look at the 700,000 words of the Bible, I could parse all those words and find logical reasoning, spatial reasoning, territorial reasoning, textual reasoning, which are all fallacious. And it makes no difference. It makes no difference to us in our faith. Same with the Quran. If I pass the Quran,
and the interesting things about
that's not the basis of our understanding of faith. We don't believe the Bible is a direct transmission by the sounds.
And a particularly interesting thing about taking doubt as an ally and challenging or questioning what is known to be factual is that the scientific community doesn't respond with violence. Religious communities, unfortunately, don't have the same track record.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, because you protest a number of wars and deaths. Someone has some background.
In the name of science? Really?
Is it James? I think it's someone. No, what I'm saying is, it depends what you mean in the name of. Right? But if you imagine 1945 and peace, World War II, as being the end of the war, that there's no more church in command of Europe and the US.
Does science promote that? Science does not promote the obliteration of a religion. Religion.
I see what you mean, of an obliterate. I misunderstood you. No, I don't think science. I think the new atheist internet community, like since the full riders seem to want to have a pop, but all our observations.
Most
and
atheists I know are
calculations
not trying to. Most atheists I know are not trying to get rid of religion.
really, really,
yeah,
really.
You could have fooled me. I mean, I think in some of them might not.
I'm glad that you're in this. I'm glad that you found this community because you will find most atheists here are not trying to rid the world of religion in these communities. There may be some that do that, and I have met some atheists who do hold that kind of view, but that they're not in the majority from what I can see. And I do find that most religious people aren't trying to get rid of others as well, but there are some religious people who do. And fortunately, the religious doctrines often have some statements in them, like in the Ten Commandments saying, "You shall have no other gods before me." That sounds pretty anti-other religion to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I as a Christian, I'm a fairly conservative Christian, Mr. Richmond, and I would definitely be on the camp. Would rather see a holier religious worldview, but I wouldn't show you the book and the sword. Right?
Okay. Oh, Amy, you need to carry on with what you want to do. I'm sorry, this one.
No, it's lovely talking to you. I like it, but I'd like to continue those discussions. Then go, where is that? Is there something above it? Aboard, right? A quick short answer. I'm in theoretical computer science. I was going to study maths and physics, but I changed to computer science.
And thank you for a cordial conversation. I enjoyed this with you, the back and forth.
Say that again.
People get silly though. Come on, if you drop a theist into a skeptic panel, it's like dropping a bit of meat for the dogs, right? They're going to have a little pop, right? It's understandable.
And it's the same way for.
It's the same way too. If you guys show up on one of my panels,
when we exactly. So it's always fun though. I kind of.
I'm sorry, Shane.
When I go on EF Dawa, or when I go on, like on Praises or Standing for Truth's channel. But okay, I am
these new headphones.
To be honest, I'm guilty as well. I mainly talk about politics and technology, but a lot of my
which
people
is
are
funny
Christian.
because I wouldn't say we try and stay completely away from politics, but it's not always the same topic.
Yeah, we try to.
Yeah, we do.
That's true. We do try.
Don't even sugarcoat that, Amy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because
it doesn't go good when we do.
Exactly, because it splits the community. It splits people who.
It's divisive.
It's a lot of, in my view, I'll give my hot take on politics, which is just politics is people's opinions. And so people fight over their opinions. And it's like, you know what? I'd rather just draw all the skeptic non-believers who are out there, basically who are, for the most part, humanists or,
human.
Amy's a child of Woodstock. You're basically you want peace and love, sweetheart. That's what
hey, let me tell you, I do want peace and love, though I know that that's almost impossible because when you try and make everyone happy, generally no one is happy. But
Ralph,
quick answer Shane's question. The basis of knowledge of soul is it's not just a dogmatic assertion, it's a sub-series or a set of assertions within a structure, an ontology that is absolutely dogmatic. It's not the top dogmatic assertion. The top dogmatic assertion is the universe unfolds as it's created by God. Okay, so that's the outer dogmatic assertion. And the soul is the recipient of that unfolding, if you like.
So you said you're a theoretical physicist? Is that what I heard?
No, I was going to study theoretical physics. I switched to computer science. Thank God.
Oh, community science? What does that mean?
Computer science.
Oh, computer science.
So, yeah, computer science. If you think of the three priesthoods of naturalism, maths, physics, and computing, right? Those three priesthoods describe your entire worldview. Right? So I'm one of those three, but not maths and physics, the other one. They're obviously deeply connected, right? Interconnected. Right?
And are you in Texas?
No, I'm not. That's just a ode to my brothers and sisters in Texas fighting the good fight.
What fight is that?
Abortion laws.
Oh, Lord. Okay, yeah, we're not going there.
No, that's I didn't bring it up. Yeah, so God bless Texas.
No, I know.
We can cover that another time. I have some strong views on that are on the pro-freedom side.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
okay, that's
Titan, I answer. He said computer science. Yeah. Titan's been asking that question for like the past 20 minutes.
But probably not the best channel for that because we do try to stay away from divisive
I don't want to talk
politics.
politics, you guys. It's not a politics channel. It's like I like to talk about arguments for God, arguments against God. I like that kind of rationalism. I like the science bit. I like the technological bit, the philosophical bit. Right? So,
and can I ask, because I always say that the closer that someone is either deistic or on team science, that they are more our allies. And what I mean by team science tends to be Big Bang cosmology, evolution, the Earth.
Did you say technology?
Technology.
Technology. Yeah. But basically,
cosmology.
do you believe that the Earth was created in 6 days, literally? Or are you closer to, okay. So we're getting places already.
No, I'm not a fundamentalist. So if you ask me what the core belief is and how would I trace it from my Bible, I believe that starts at John 1:1. It starts with the universe and the message being unfolding in John 1:1 as the last revelation. Wow. And we believe, therefore, in 1:1 that the Logos is not just Christ in the Trinity, Christ the body, Christ the transcendental. No, Christ is the Logos, is not even the person. The Logos is the originating source of the order of God, of goodness. So God creates the world, and in that he has created if you like, in your terms, a moral landscape of goodness.
Cool story, bro.
No, he didn't. He created evil. What do you mean, a moral landscape of goodness?
Correct. Good requires evil. Right? So therefore, even if you do all the theological arguments of good versus evil, there's no concept of good without evil. Right? So in that creation of the good, the Logos,
meaning it's a shitty story.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, your God is not all powerful. That's all you're saying. I get it.
It seems to be powerful enough to have controlled the world ever since you got here.
Prove it. Go ahead, prove it.
Well, kind of. He gets messed up.
You wouldn't be speaking English if it wasn't for Christianity, right?
No, that's not true.
You wouldn't even be reading anything. In fact, the modern English language comes from the Book of Common Prayer. I mean, so even your English is Christian. You just don't know that the gifts of God are in every word you speak, right? But you know what
English comes from a Germanic
set of looks than she did 20 minutes ago. So my wife's sets of looks have now altered. So I'm going to use that as a social signal. Like the women's score.
Thank God.
I could say it's been fun.
I don't get what English has anything to do with it. Like a lot of the Christians come from Romance languages, like the Spanish-speaking portion of the world that is probably a gigantic portion of Christianity, and they speak Spanish. Imagine. What was that? I don't get the connection.
I just want to point out to you that most of the things you take for granted around here actually have a formidable amount of endemically Christian history in them, including the English language.
So at the risk of triggering Godwin's law here, I will say that if a particular Christian movement was successful ultimately, most of the world would probably be speaking German today.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah, but the good news is that God defeated the Nazis.
Did you just say that
actually, Alan Turing had a major role in that, along with many others. And Alan Turing was homosexual, which was a problem for a lot of Christians, particularly at that time.
He was one of my childhood. It's still one of my childhood heroes. If you ever visit England,
he's a hero, definitely.
Yeah, go to Bletchley Park. If you ever visit England from the other side of the pond, you chaps, go to Bletchley Park. It's worth it to see the torment. And only recently was he officially pardoned by the state, I think 15, 20 years ago, for his groundbreaking contributions. And there's even deeper irony.
Yeah, and that's right there. That's why it took so long. It was ridiculous.
Why the Nazis were always going to lose is a deeper irony than that. So even the Enigma cracking and beating the Nazis by Turing, that was only beaten because the mathematician David Hilbert before him posed Hilbert's problems, including the Entscheidungs problem. And Hilbert himself was Jewish. So really, the Nazis could never win. They would never be allowed to win. Right?
You are so smart.
But you know what, chaps? I do have to. My missus is giving me the Z-look. So thanks ever so much, Amy, for coming on. I'll pop on another time.
It was lovely having you on as always, Ralph.
God bless.
Please give our regards to your wife. You mentioned her a moment ago, and have a great day. Take care. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And we are, in fact, sending love to all of our theist brothers and sisters out there. We do enjoy those that have disagreements than our own. I really wanted to ask him more questions on Christianity. I know
That would have been great.
Someone, I forget who, but some Christian gave me an apologetic on scapegoatism because I just find the entire notion of killing someone for really anything pretty horrific, unless, you know, I can't think of anything.
What was each of your favorite part of that conversation?
When he hung up.
I figured Bird would say that.
I just, the bullshit was ridiculous. How can you believe in something that you have no evidence for, but be a scientist? That doesn't make any sense.
I just thought. Go ahead, Randolph.
I found it interesting that he kept saying I'm absolutely right when I'm tearing his.
I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. But yeah.
I thought it was very interesting. Go ahead.
I find this is a Bill Burr thing. He says every time that he gets a comment that's like, look, I love comedy. I'm the biggest fan of comedy. No one loves comedy more than me.
I don't know.
They are getting ready to basically say why they hate your shit. They're they're trying to
why comedy is bullshit.
They're trying to give themselves credibility. So you say, look, I'm a scientist. I am a science-minded person. Nobody loves
I'm
science
a skeptic
more than me. And listen, he may be in every other area. I'm not talking shit, in every other aspect of his life. He probably is skeptical. He probably goes to the doctor to
he's anti-vax.
When he's injured. He
most
probably
likely
goes on a plane when he wants to travel the country, and he said he's into computer scientists. He is a computer scientist, so I'm sure he uses a variety of programming languages like C++, Java, or PHP. And that's fantastic. But all of those things exist within a natural world, and they don't have anything to do with theology. And so, I never can wrap my mind around the sending your son down to be murdered so that he can be sent right back up for all the bad things that we all did.
I got to tell you, Amy, there's one language you left out of that list, and it's Perl. But anyway, I'm joking.
Perl is fantastic.
Well, I like when he kept saying, like, we're not going to take this. We're not going to stand for this. It's like, what are you guys going to do about it? You guys, the Christians haven't been able to affect really any social. They've lost every battle they've tried to wage almost ever. So I don't see what they're going to do.
And to be fair, he could not disagree with the fact that the Bible's wrong about the value of pi, because that's just such an obvious thing these days and such a minor point. Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, when we go to if we get to transhumanism, whatever he's afraid of, the Christians will just accept it and move on, and there will be another boogeyman that they'll be worried about something else,
And did we not just do a podcast about this? Like, it was two men explaining that technology is going to get out of control to a point where the Antichrist will become the technology
takes over,
we put into ourselves and takes over. And it really just seemed like a sell at fear. It really just seemed like we don't know what will happen, ... Therefore, the end of the world. And I don't mean, or maybe I do. Look, I'm sending love to everybody, but I don't know what other emotion I could have got out of that is not fearful. Except you're excited to go to war? I don't know. You're excited for the end of the world?
Well, we're not going to stand for it. We're not going to allow it, Amy.
So it's a good thing. Well, I mean, we're going to sit for it. That's what we meant. We're going to bring chairs. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. I mean...
You mean they're going to integrate Pornhub so it can play directly into your head? Right into your visual cortex?
You know, I gotta point out this is all coming from Canada. Pornhub is Canadian. Yay, Canada.
Canada, eh?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a Canadian company.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, we can't even get Canadian bacon from Canada, but yet we can get Pornhub from Canada. Go figure.
Well, it's not
I'd just
actual
like to
bacon.
say, Randolph,
Yeah.
very specifically, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your exports.
Yeah.
Wow. You got enough syrup?
I think we got
much
Clockwork
as we
Rex
can
in the
get.
back.
But that's
great.
right. We do have Clockwork Rex. We are going to go.
Oh, Clockwork.
into, I think, about another 30 minutes of open mic, and then we are going to head into the after show.
I'll be
on
right back. I had to take care of laundry. Sorry.
Okay. But that's okay, because we're handed it over. Clockwork Rex. We are midnight ranting on what explains reality, atheism, or Christianity. I hope you are doing well tonight. And what are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody?
We're doing all right.
Yeah, the whole thing with the dude with the Texas cross symbol from England, which is fucking weird.
Well, we don't know.
Reminds me of an episode of Black Mirror.
Which episode?
Oh, all of them. It's like a whole mind fuck. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you walked into any episode of Jordan Peele, which is amazing, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it was a great show. I loved it. I'm sorry it ended. I think the last season only had like 5 episodes.
3.
Was it 3?
Yeah, it only had 3.
Ah. Well, the one where you could, you had that implant that could erase people from your life.
Yeah, I think that was season 3 or 4. I can't remember. Yeah, that
Yeah, they were they looked like static.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's also the plot line to the new Spider-Man movie.
Oh, is it? See, I haven't seen that yet. No spoilers.
No. I mean, we really did have this conversation. So I feel it's a fantastic time to just reiterate that we are coming into the information age where computers will be connected all across the globe. And it's not scary. If anything, we need to help get technology into the hands that need it the most and faster, more efficiently. And we need to mitigate any type of concerns that we will come across. I am, as anyone comes, Leophilia,
Hello.
woo-hoo, and
Not on the
myself,
sheets.
as it comes, interested in the brain, interested in consciousness. And, I am highly fascinated by transhumanism. Jeff D. from the Atheist Experiences in the heyday was big into promoting it, defending it against anyone who would kind of crack talk it, because it sounds scary. It sounds like you're talking about coming over to my transition so I can transition. But no, it is about integrating technology. It is about technology upgrading, hopefully not upgrading itself to, I guess, means by which we cannot even manage it. Nonetheless, those fears that come with every technology, with the printing press, with the horse and buggy, cars, like someone was saying, with nuclear technology, that also all of those things that I just named have their good and their bads, because that's what science does. Science is really about discovering things, and then it's really up to us what we do with them. And so the scary part is not the technology. As always, it should just be us. It should just be us trying to look out for each other as we upgrade and continue to get better technology.
Oh, sure. Technology is a tool. It's like a hammer.
Exactly.
You can use a hammer to build somebody a house, or you can use a hammer to kill somebody. It's
Yeah.
all in how you use the technology.
And so we shouldn't be afraid moving forward. We should be cautious, as always, when we are messing with new technology. But just because it is something that we do not know, once again, to tie it just back to subject, it is not the end of the world, and it is not the end for these major religions any more than what I can say is already out there. The internet killer, or I'm sorry, I gave my joke away. The religion killer is the internet. And so anything else that it wants to go to war with, I feel like you're just going to end up finding it on one of those channels that sell stuff. It's just going to end up on QVC with a futuristic light bulb attached to it. And 7G.
It's got electrolytes.
It's got electrolytes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's got what plants crave.
It's got what plants crave.
Yeah.
And with that, we got Kevin in the back. What is up, Kevin? We are Midnight Ranting on what explains reality, atheism, or Christianity. I hope that you are doing well. And what are your thoughts?
I'm good. I think it's my first time over here on the channel, but I've
Hey, buddy.
had some interaction with Randolph.
Welcome. Hey, good that you're here.
Yeah. I've seen a few of the streams over here now, so I'm up, and I figured I'd come rant with y'all a little bit, and take a break from business and politics.
That's right. The two subjects that they tell you not to talk about, we are at least going to talk about one of them.
Yep.
Exactly. Though I will say, I find that many of the theologies try to tie politics together. And so that is what makes it tricky. And that's why I find often it gets taken there.
Yeah, I mean, at least as far as the U.S. is concerned, I think that's like totally the case. Like, and you could say like the separation of church and state, like, really doesn't like it's an idea, but it's not really embedded in the Constitution. Like, the more I read it, it's not clearly defined there. So that's why they're able to like use these, well, God wants all the babies to live, and that's I'm reading the arguments against abortion. That's literally what it says. Like, that's their justification, stuff like that, So they just take it from there, and the institution of marriage, all of that stuff. It's all justified by their religious belief, and that's upheld by Congress. It's ridiculous.
I think they're trying to create loopholes. Like, I'll give an example. They use the "in God we trust" on the money as evidence that we are a religious country. But it was actually just installed in the 50s as kind of a push to try and get religion into government. And so they use that as a springboard to further.
It was part of the anti-Soviet hysteria, because the Soviet Union was state atheist, so they kind of wanted to draw that distinguishment between them and us. Like, we have God on our side, whereas they're degenerate atheists.
Yeah, that's all McCarthy. I was just reading about that, like maybe not even an hour or two ago. So yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because there's in the Pew research they're doing now. They've been doing, I guess, since the 50s. There's they show a steady decline since 1958, and the basically the trust of the public in government since then has just gone down from like more than half to like less than, I think it's like 25% or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to continue. It's hard to keep people in church seats. It's hard to keep the attention of this generation who has access to the entire globe of information.
Well, I think it's also interesting to look at like the boomers from that era. They make up that demographic of people, maybe, who they and their children, and then you get the 60s, 70s, and then there's this like uptick in the 80s with Reaganomics and stuff. But there's like this steady, like it seems like this influx of or acceptance of this notion that America's turned away from God, and the rhetoric turns, as was stated, like against atheism, which is associated somehow with communism and all of these crazy atrocities and stuff, which is totally like they don't correlate at all. It's any frame of reference they can draw is purely coincidental. But and there's like very few of them. That's the thing. They go to Stalinism, they go to communist China, and that's about all they get. Like there's no real examples that aren't like totally extreme, like Nazis or something.
And those aren't secular societies. I always tell them, just give me a USSR state that supported gay marriage, and it tends to be these secular liberal countries, these countries that have a separation of church and state, that it's not for or against a religion. And so you can be a non-believer, you can be a Christian, you can be Muslim, you can be a born-again Muslim. Sending love to all of our theist brothers and sisters, and of course the non-believing community. I will say that we're going to go for about 20 more minutes and then hop on to the after show. So if you are a theist, a creationist, someone who disagrees with us, now is the time to hop on. The link is still pinned, but
if you're Ken Hovind,
Eric Ken Hovind, come join us. 15 foot, excuse me, whale and exactly. Send in love. I see Titan Uranus out there, who I love to say as often as possible. Norfolk X Music, everyone out in chat. But we are Midnight Ranting on what explains reality, atheism or Christianity. And we get often asked what our worldview is. And theists often don't like that the answer is, well, it's not atheism. Atheism is just the conclusion that we have been driven by from skepticism.
Yeah, show me evidence that a God exists. He's
Well,
not showed up. Yeah, he's not showed up.
I don't have to. You just have to believe
God's
it.
perfectly capable of presenting himself to all of us.
Yeah.
J. Mike, I know that guy. Well, I mean, I know that name.
What's up, J. Mike? And, every time we try to ask for evidence in favor of the Christian worldview, and we sometimes deal with the presuppositionalists who tell us that we cannot even have a worldview. We could not.
It doesn't matter. It depends on your way of truth and how you define truth. Okay.
What is your fundamental?
Ralph pointed out we're using the wrong tool.
Yeah, we're using the wrong tool.
Well, and that's the funny thing. They always want us to use an older tool, a tool that, in my opinion, is getting closer to outdated. Philosophy is not completely outdated. There is uses for philosophy in the hypothesizing and preparing so that you can test and get a scientific framework and theory.
Yep.
But you do have to test it. And so that is the metric that has evolved in the past 1,000 or so years, that we have gone away from just having our own syllogisms. We have to actually go out and test them in the real world.
Yeah, and I had a talk with one of my friends that I met online, and science is actually a philosophy. It's you've got to go test it. If it doesn't work out, then you're wrong.
And I would say science came from, because science came from philosophy. And I would even say that science, I'm not even disagreeing. I would actually, the reason I'm giving nuance is because a lot of creationists will say, oh, well, science is underseated by philosophy, but they're actually two different subjects in my opinion, and that you actually need philosophy to hypothesize so that you can go out. I was just adding an asterisk. I wasn't even.
To add another one, if I could.
That's totally fine.
Science is a natural philosophy. It's a part of philosophy. It's not.
To add one more, I think you were going where I was going. I don't know if any of you heard of Dr. Greg Graffin, one of my favorite artists, and he refers to naturalism as a philosophy, and it's kind of essentially the same thing, kind of defaulting to the scientific method.
It's a way of looking at things, I would say, naturalism, but I wouldn't call it a philosophy. But
and I would say
maybe
that is
just
our
semantics.
Yeah, a bit, but I mean,
it's our worldview. In fact, I've been thinking a lot about this once again, just from the presuppositionalists continually asking what our worldview is. We are naturalists. We believe in the natural world. We understand things through Newtonian laws when they are our size, through quantum mechanics on the smaller scale, and through general relativity on the larger. And that we use a methodology, the scientific method. It's a process, not a body of knowledge, to come to better conclusions.
Amy, it's been fun. I'm out.
What was that?
Have a good night, Bird.
I'm out.
Oh, night, Bird.
Thank you so much, Bird.
I'm not sure.
Oh, take care,
I've seen
man.
the flex tape before, but
Big screen, Bird.
Good night, Bird. Yeah, he normally goes by the name Bird.
okay.
But he became a vegetarian because of the Noah story. All of the animals became meat eaters, even though they were plant eaters.
Only after the flood.
Yes, so he's now a vegetarian. I guess we had a second flood. This time it's personal.
That's got to be one of the most ridiculous arguments I've heard lately.
Somebody was just telling me the other day that we're due for another flood soon.
We're having one right now in California, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, no, they're talking about the whole world being flooded because there's so much debauchery and other problems with the world. God's really unhappy, apparently.
Well, I thought the rainbow.
So much global homo.
Yeah,
the rainbow was promise of God not flooding the world again. He's going to kill us by fire.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, what God's really upset about right now is trans people, and because there's too much transitioning. Apparently, I don't know. The whole thing's ridiculous.
We tend to trigger whenever I go onto an evangelical or a presuppositionalist channel. Once again, only thing they can focus on, my genitals. Like, there is a being that supposedly is watching them 24/7, 365, and all they care about is what's between my legs.
They're not even interested in your chest. It's all about what's between your legs.
I know. Randolph, that is what I'm saying as both a button boobs person. Nonetheless,
it's highly discriminatory, though. That's the thing. It's really nasty. It's so discriminatory.
And I just want to say I agree with both. I think that science at least derived from natural philosophy, and I both think that philosophy was the foundation, if not still is the foundation, for a lot of science, mathematics, language, and art. So I know there's a lot of atheists, a lot of non-believers that completely shit on philosophy. I feel like I'm more of a middle ground, is that you cannot escape using philosophy to create hypotheses and to really go. You just need to think. That is what we're doing, and
there are
nonetheless,
there are some who think they're philosophers when they're not, but that's not anybody here. It's just
yes.
that goes on too.
And so, yes, I just want to put that. I just also think that it is used as a way sometimes for theists, especially the ones with their specific theologies, to try and weasel out of not getting their specific religions testable. Now, if they admit it's unfalsifiable, Ralph was kind of admitting his was unfalsifiable. But at that point, I don't understand why you believe something if it is unfalsifiable.
Yeah, well, that all comes down to like rationalization, and that's what a lot of philosophy is, like a lot of metaphysics. It's just like I feel a certain way, and I want to justify the way I feel, and so I'm gonna create a lot of narrative to try and allude to you and convince you that the way I feel is valid, right? But none of that is actually rooted in what is real. It's all just rooted in some kind of abstract mental I don't know like it's all rooted in people's feelings and intuitions about the world.
I'm trying to think how broad of a brush I want to paint. Many stories that I come across, they come from personal experiences, and personal experiences are extremely hard to replicate. They tend not to be very motivating to the person that hasn't had the personal experience. And so I'm not sure what to do with them other than to say, I'm glad you survived. From most often, that is what it is. Like, I'm glad you survived the car crash. I'm glad you survived whatever it is that brought you to Jesus. I get a lot of times a drug addiction, jail, a hard time just going through life. Those are evidence for a God. To me, they are not good evidences for a God.
But Amy, what would you say to someone who said maybe you just don't want him to touch you?
Oh my. I would say that's definitely wrong for multiple reasons that we can't explain on a PG-13 podcast. But I mean,
oh wait, this is PG-13.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of PG-13 to R on this late night podcast. I thought, you know what's funny? I always
this church
find more humorous when they do bleeps. Like, you could curse, like you could just say damn shit, trying to think what other things that'll get. I'll just go all in. Damn shit, fuck. That is not as funny as you saying you bleeping bleep 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 bleep. For whatever reason,
well, fair.
you bleep it out. It always sounds funnier. But there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I earned my late night George Carlin badge. Nonetheless,
it's 3:17 in the morning here. So.
That's right. We are about to be heading into outros. We have been midnight ranting on what explains reality, atheism, or Christianity. We went into some.
He's getting ready to unleash the mimes.
I know. I can't help myself. But I'm sending love to everyone out there. If this is your last chance, you got about 5-10 more minutes, and then we are heading out. Feel free to tag James W. at myself at Amy Newman, or the link is still pinned in chat. But I'm sending love to all my atheist and theist brothers out there, brothers and sisters. It has been fun and interesting. That's definitely the word for it.
That's one way of putting it, Newman. Focus.
Focus. Yeah, atheism, Christianity, head to head. Any other last words before we do outros?
Zoom my screen for a sec. This is, you mentioned drugs earlier, and I thought this church sign would fit.
Says, Jesus is my Prozac.
Love these church
Damn
signs.
straight, Rainbow.
I love these church signs.
And I wish, we did have one Christian come in and defend kind of faith. I wish they would really explain their own reasons for why. Kind of said it would not convince us. And so we didn't go, oh, Kathy, what is up? Sending love once again to more theists. Brothers and sisters out there.
They've probably watched enough like AXP. They're just scared of us at this point.
I know, just scared of us. Look, once again, don't bite unless you're into that.
They're not going to take that as a challenge? Oh, how disappointing.
Hey, and we did a Muslim podcast, Atheism versus Islam. Didn't have any takers there.
Was that the after show from the debate, or is that a different episode now?
That might have been. We're having tons of fun after shows. Amaretta says bootleg street Prozac, maybe.
Is that crack?
Yeah.
Sounds like crack. I don't know.
I mean, they make fun of
probably.
Karl Marx for saying, I believe in a what's it called? A market economy. Nonetheless, it really is the opium of the masses. Religion.
Opiate of the mass, yeah.
I mean, it numbs you, well, both of those words, little Freudian slip there, to so many things. The biggest just being the alleviation of the fear of death, which I'm sure believers are like, what? That's the best thing. That's why we're here. I'm like, yeah, but that means that you could possibly not appreciate this life. And worse than that, you could possibly go on to do harm. You could go on to, not be too specific, but there were airplanes that had a date with towers that, would not have happened if it were not for religion. And I don't even have any animosity for the specific religion, which I know many of my atheist brothers and sisters. It's almost like I see them as victims. It doesn't forgive them, or no, we shouldn't not stop trying to push against the superstition. If anything, we need to push against all forms of superstition so that they cannot use that as a shield. You're picking on me, because that's what they all say. The Jews say it, the Christians say it, the Muslims say it. Insert your religion. They all think we're going after them. But, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter. It's that good old brain in the sky that you're telling us cares about what we do and who we have sex with.
Cares about the girl dick.
Cares about that girl dick. Exactly. I'm just gonna do it for you, Randolph.
Oh, I wasn't meaning I wasn't requesting. I only requested it for that one because it was hard to see in the small size. But yeah, this church has this sign says, "If God is your co-pilot, switch seats." It's good advice.
You can never tell how many of these are like photoshopped and which ones are real. Like sometimes they're just indistinguishable.
That is true.
Oh yeah.
It almost falls into Poe's law.
But the thing is, like, I have taken actual photographs of churches around town that have some crazy stuff on them, and people sometimes think that those are made up. Like the stuff that they put on these church signs, I'm inclined to think more of it is not photoshopped, actually, given based on what I've seen around town here. And things here are not as outlandish and crazy as in a lot of other places. So things are pretty tame here generally.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about you guys in Canada there, but like I'm in California, where I live, we're real liberal. It's the Bay Area, Silicon Valley area, and I can go. A church around here has a very kind of liberal message, supporting Black Lives Matter or something like that. But I can drive 2 hours north and find pretty much exactly the opposite message somewhere in the woodworks there. So it's quite a dichotomy.
You ever take pictures of the church signs when they look really interesting?
I've taken one or two, but I haven't. I don't think I've posted any. But I saved one for my own benefit, and hopefully I'll be able to recover it. I go through so many devices. So
I'd love to add them to my collection, so feel free to send them to me as well, because I'll gladly do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I only have about 400 church signs in my collection, but maybe 500. But
it's so funny that you collect that. I actually collect literal church and religious propaganda. I basically have a box. So like Jehovah's Witness or Mormons or anything, if they send you those booklets, those little cartoons and all that stuff, I try and collect as much as I can because I find that so fascinating, funny.
You could make a video series out of those.
Wouldn't be a bad idea, just kind of showcasing all of it. Some of them are so wild.
Just one per episode.
And okay, I couldn't agree more. But on that note, guys, I think we're going to head to outros. That's right. That's what plans Craig.
Kevin, it's great to see you and finally put a face to your
Let's get the super straight mimes in here.
But
yeah, I haven't got to go on camera a lot.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. Well, now you can. And we will continue the fun because we are going to the after show on Discord. Woo-hoo. But with that, Kevin, you were the last to join us, which means you are going to be the first to lead us into outros as we midnight rant on what explains reality, atheism, or Christianity. Woohoo! Kevin, I hope you had a fantastic time on this midnight ranting. What explains reality better? Atheism or Christianity? Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
People can find me at my channel. I'm Kevin Chaos, not to be confused with the Norwegian DJ, but I'm just a regular guy trying to figure out the world. And I also do a show called the Trusty 8 Podcast. You can find that as well on YouTube and SoundCloud and stuff. Sorry. Excuse me. I think atheism best explains, well, I wouldn't say atheism, but as we said earlier, science or naturalism best explains everything we see. And I'm just trying to figure out why people believe otherwise. So I also do a Bible study online. I'm going to be resuming here next week. And tomorrow I'm trying to establish an argument for abolishing the Constitution of the United States. So, yeah, check that out.
Kevin, can you include, can you put a link to your YouTube channel in the private chat? I'll share it in the public chat.
Yeah, I'll put it down there.
Thanks, Randolph.
And thank you so very much, Kevin, for joining us tonight. And all right, we're moving right down the line. And yeah, any links for any channels, get them to me and I will get them up. And I think Randolph will probably get them into chat. And we are moving right down the list. Thank you so very much, Kevin and Clockwork Rex. We are Midnight Ranting on what explains reality really better, atheism or Christianity. I hope you had a fun time tonight. Where can people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Oh, well, I have a channel. I stream every now and then when I feel like it. I think science explains reality better than either atheism or theism. Because atheism is just a non-belief in God or any gods. Do you believe in Thor? Do you believe in Zeus?
Or goddesses?
Oh yeah, or Aphrodite, or you know, Ares. Whoever you want to believe in it. I don't give a fuck. But don't try to tell me I have to believe in that. And yeah, I have a channel. It's Clockwork Rex. I stream randomly. And anybody's welcome to join. We just talk about bullshit. We don't do the religion or the politics or anything like that. So
just the bullshit.
Yeah, just the bullshit.
There we go.
Keep it more like Thanksgiving. No politics or religion.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can't help ourselves
But
here.
I appreciate you having me on, Amy. I had fun. Good show. Where's the after
Thanks,
show?
Clockwork.
The
on
after
Discord.
show, that's right. The after show is on Discord, the link of which is in the description below.
Okay. I'll be there.
Woo-hoo. Well, thank you so very much.
Be there or be
Rex.
square.
And it looks like, give me 1 second.
Oh, hang on. I'm watching Sleepy Hollow, the one with Johnny Depp. Hang on. I might be there in a minute.
That's okay. But I just want to send a heart to Randolph, who found your channel. And so go check Clockwork Rex out if you
There
would
you go.
like to chill. Have
Oh,
some good
thanks, Randolph.
conversation.
Yeah,
Well,
I
That's
appreciate it.
right.
Looking at Kevin's channel. I couldn't find it. I need some help from you, Kevin.
Yep, Kevin, if you want to link your channel either now or next time, we'll get that up there. Because we want to just support the non-believer community. In fact, the great thing about the non-believer community is that we do not need to split. We do not need to have schisms or all of the nonsense.
Canon battles.
The canon battles. Even though we have disagreements all the time, it's funnily, is that a word? Enough? It doesn't seem to drive us into these wars that the religious folks seem to have. But yeah, thank you so very much, Clockwork Rex, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we're gonna hand it over to the godfather of atheism, Randolph Richardson. Lovely having you on here as always, and a reminder that everyone needs to go check out the episode in which Randolph just special guest hosted with us. And so we're going to hand it to Randolph. Hope you had a good night. Where can people find you? And of course, what are your final thoughts?
Well, thank you very much, Amy and James, for putting all this Midnight Ranting stuff together. It's very nice. It's wonderful to meet you, Kevin again, but put a face to your name finally. And somebody's got their microphone on, and I'm hearing a lot of noise. So, but at any rate, Danny's here now. I see he's just joined us in backstage. But
must be Danny.
So I just wanted to say that there are a lot of scientific errors in the Holy Bible. It fails to explain reality. Atheism, of course, I agree with Clockwork Rex, and I did mention this earlier as well, about how exactly in line with what Clockwork Rex said, that atheism is just not believing in deities, not believing in gods or goddesses. So it doesn't explain anything. It's certainly not inconsistent with reality. We're born not believing all sorts of things. So there we go. There is a Rational Wiki article that covers the scientific errors in the Holy Bible. I just posted it in the public chat. There is one section in there I'll point out as well, because I did cover some other issues in the Bible, like the value of pi being 3.0, and in fact it's 3.141, a bunch of other numbers. The Bible also apparently talks about ant behavior, which seems kind of random, which is make it fun to read out. So under Proverbs 6:6-8, the English translation, according to that Rational Wiki article, looks something like this. It says, "Look at that ant, you lazy bugger. Watch her behavior and become wise. She has no captain, no supervisor, no ruler, but she makes sure that she has food in the summer and safeguards her food during harvest." So the idea is that the ant is an individual animal that does everything herself simply isn't true from a biological standpoint. Ants live in a colony with many subdivisions, which most people, I think, probably already know today, which includes workers and queens. And so the Rational Wiki article carries on with that. There's a couple more sentences after that. It is an interesting read. It's quite good that they have a collection of these errors, because it's a useful resource if you need to debunk some Christian claims of the Bible being scientifically accurate. I find the claims of scientific accuracy much more common amongst Muslims talking about their Quran, in the Holy Quran, instead of, and a lot less common with Christians talking about that with the Holy Bible, such as the Christian who was on earlier. That was a nice conversation, I thought, and it was interesting that he didn't try to find some kind of excuses for these errors, and just admitted that, hey, these are errors. So I give him credit and props for that. I think that was really good that he did it that way. So yeah, I think that this is really more of a question of is science better at explaining reality? And most definitely seems to be the case. We have a better understanding of how things work. We can reproduce certain things. We can make predictions about chemical reactions and all sorts of other things in science, using science. And we can be consistent about it. We can build IKEA furniture thanks to science by following instructions that have no words. And and that's where some art fits in. So art's important too. So, but yeah, it's Christianity seems to be a big failure when it comes to explaining reality and how it works.
Huge failure.
Yeah, my name is Randolph Richardson. Thank you for having me on. If you want to find out more about the organization I run, Canadian Atheists, you can go to www.canadianatheists.ca and read about us on the website. There's even a link on the contact page to our Discord guild. But I'm going to be in Amy's Discord after this, just to kind of hang out for a little bit and chat with people while I finish some work, because that's always a lot of fun too. You can find out more. You can find me on Twitter as well at www.twitter.com/Randolph828. And that's Randolph spelled with an F, not a PH, no matter what autocorrect tells you. And my YouTube channel address is youtube.com/Randolph Richardson. Thank you very much, Amy and James and everybody else here. And thank you to everybody in the audience for tuning in. I really appreciate
Thanks, Randolph.
I appreciate the conversations tonight. It was a lot of fun.
And I just want to send a shout out. I'm going to send love to Randolph, the godfather of atheism. And then we also were able to find Kevin's. So here is Kevin's YouTube link, and I will also send it into chat. And there you go. So want to send love to Randolph, Kevin, Clockwork, Rex. We are actually, before we get to James to land the ship, we are actually going to bring in Danny for an intro outro. So Danny, we have been Midnight Ranting on what explains reality, atheism or Christianity. I hope you are doing well. Where can people find you? And of course, what are your thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, sorry I came so early. I did, but anyways, I think y'all already said it. The idea is that atheism doesn't really explain anything. And while you're asking you're between atheism and Christianity, I think Christianity does make some claims about it, explaining reality. I don't think theism really explains anything either, but it might be that Christianity is a richer form of theism, where there's some form of explanatory power. But yeah, I don't think atheism or theism predicts anything in terms of causal relations or anything like that. And I personally think that theism is incoherent. So if Christianity is a subset of theism and it's so incoherent, then I don't think it explains anything. So I don't want to take too much of y'all's time. Y'all been at it for a few hours, but thanks for my intro, outro, Amy.
Thanks, Danny.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much, Danny. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Danny's channel, which you can find at the link below. Woo-hoo. And all right. We are, it's pronounced Phi Talk. And okay, with that, we are going to move to the pilot. James, we have been Midnight Ranting on what explains reality, atheism or Christianity. I think I know which way we're biased to, nonetheless.
A little bit.
And he's the pilot, not the co-pilot.
That's true. I'm in the back drinking.
Designated pilot, yeah. She's having fun in the back. I'm stuck up there trying to crash the plane. But yeah, we had some good discussion, guys. It was really good to have everybody on. And yeah, I think we're all a little bit biased towards, I guess if you want to say atheism is the answer, even though it's not semantically maybe the best way of describing it, but naturalism, secularism definitely does a much better job than any religion, Christianity in particular, because it does make a lot of claims that some of the more generic versions of theism don't make, which makes it more falsifiable. But thanks, guys, for coming along for the ride, and we will see y'all on the next episode.
Woo-hoo.
Thanks, Ian.
That's right. Sending love to everyone out there, especially Ian. But everybody, we are sending.
He has a special place in Amy's heart. We're gonna go with heart.
That's right. A heart that was not designed and shows no evidence of that. That's why people have heart attacks.
Thanks for coming in the chat, Stephanie.
Woo-hoo. And that's right. I want to say anyone who, has disagreements or sees differently than us, it's always, it doesn't sound cheesy when I say brave, but it's always glad the people who disagree with us come together right now. Okay, with that, I really do want to thank you all. I hope you had a good time on this episode of Midnight Ranting. What explains reality? Atheism or Christianity?
Or Titan Uranus.
Oh my.
That
always
explains
the winner.
reality.
Where we put theology and naturalism in the hot seat. And I want to thank my co-host, James W., along with
Ding.
our guests,
Ding.
Bird,
Ding.
Oz, Ralph, Randolph, Clockwork Rex, Kevin, and Danny. Woo! Plus, we're sending
Thanks,
love
guys.
to the people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great. And of course, lovely viewers like you who make this channel
like Shane.
possible. That's right. If you enjoyed the show, please like, follow, or subscribe.
Woohoo!
Then
Buy our
gives
DVDs.
you access to that bell icon to be set to all so you can get reminders to see our premieres, like our interview with Cindy Lincoln premiered yesterday, the ex-wife of Kent Hovind, who helped
One of
run
the
Dinosaur Adventureland.
Committee of ex-wives. He's
That's
got a gaggle of exes now.
Yes, like the Committee of Kangs, ladies and gentlemen.
And to my knowledge, none of them live in Texas. But...
And see our live streams like just here, because we're sending love to the interwebs. Mm-hmm. After the show, however, we will be heading to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server.
We'll have to catch that show tight.
Is in description below, so come join us for more fun. Or hey, leave a comment once the video's done. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more content, we offer perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night,
Good night, guys.
everyone. Mwah.